I'm Rosa Mendez, and I'm here at the #1 Long Island broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh. I had the best time ever!
Hey, listen, Daddy, you're listening to the #1 broadcast, Monty and Pharaoh, Daddy, in Long Island. The best pro wrestling broadcast of all time, I think.
Jimmy, I got to tell you, man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. It was quite disappointing what happened to us, but we bounced back fairly quickly.
Well, what else would we do? We're almost at 5,000 subscribers.
Well, speaking of that, man, we need more members.
Okay.
What do you think we need to do to get the people of those 5,000 subscribers to come on and join the team as a Monty and the Pharaoh member?
Nudity is out of the question. Any other ideas?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do have a few ideas.
Well, just like Prel, they should tell 2 friends, and they could tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Check out all our content.
But that's, you know what? That's why you're the star of the show, because guess what? Members get special content. Even we spoke about it. Pharaoh came to me one day and he goes, "Man, what's the deal? I can't even watch some of these videos because I'm not a member." And I said, "There you go, Pharaoh. You got to be a member, because this is what the members get. They get free content that none of the other fans that watch this show get.
That's right.
You get free autographs from some of these wonderful stars that come in, right?
Nice.
All you do is you go to the MNP webpage, or our own page, and shoot us an email and say, "Hey, man, I want a picture of Tommy Rich. I want a picture of whatever." And boy, that's on its way.
We give them their choice.
That's right.
We rock.
We do rock.
And you need to rock too. Join.
I'm Rosa Mendez.
Jimmy, you remember that fight?
Fight? Yeah, I remember that fight. You mean the fight at the end? I'm still freaking out over the membership commercial you had that we did, like, oh God, years
How long
ago.
did you forget about that thing?
You know, did you know that Rosa Mendez had the best time ever?
She is. Dude, I saw her at the big event when you were supposed to come up here and you had all those plane difficulties. She still looks fucking smoking, dude. Still smoking after all these years. By the way, just to remind everybody, if you're a member of the Monty and the Pharaoh channel, you do get free gifts. You do get stuff. We got the best group of people that join us, man.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy, let me ask you. We were talking last week. Have you found anything out about the Iron Maiden thing? Is it definitely not at the same window?
No, it's not in the same window, which is annoying. I would be gone for too long. They're like 7 days apart from each other. I was hoping they were lumped a little closer together. So that's a problem. But on top of it, I'm factoring in, it's a fairly new job. I'm enjoying it. And Thanksgiving's around the corner, and I'm starting to weigh that option. Do I really want to miss Thanksgiving? They'll probably ask me to work Thanksgiving if I'm up in New York. So I think Iron Maiden and everything else might have to once again be put on hold. I don't know. I'm in the middle right now trying to figure out what I should do or not do.
This will be your second Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Right?
I loved Thanksgiving here last year. We went to a place, I guess you could call it almost like when you go to upstate New York. It's almost like an upstate feel where we went. We went to a little town called Choppy. I think it's an Indian thing, obviously. Sop Choppy must have been a tribe of some kind back in the day. And the woods are freaking awesome. And I like it there. It's peaceful. It's like Kings Park without the rotting buildings. I would prefer a few rotting buildings, but what are you going to do?
Forgive me for saying this, dude, but a lot of times I think people make believe they're Indian. I'm not saying that's the case, obviously, your household, but in general, I see a lot of everybody else like, I got some American Indian in me. I'm Indian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, the only thing I'll say about my connection to Indians is that, look, deep down, I really we all have our own idea of what utopia would be. And in my perfect world, there wouldn't be cell phones. We wouldn't be doing this. So I guess there's that. You know what I mean? There would be basically woods and trees, and you're hungry, you catch something and whatever. Would I do terribly? Yeah, because I'm conditioned to this society. But probably would take me a few months before I go, you know what? That lizard does look pretty good. I think I'll eat it.
Do you think? Do you think there'll ever be a lizard looks pretty good? I'll think.
You like that, huh?
Yeah. Well, in most times, man, like eating reptiles usually isn't the best thing. Well, that's not
probably
true.
Not.
Now, when I used to eat a lot of gator tail when I was in Louisiana, serving the country.
Your favorite state?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Oh, great memories.
Right.
But I guess is Karen, your wife, is she Indian at all, or what is she?
I think Karen had her blood done, like a lot of people do. I won't do it.
Wait a minute. Don't just bypass. Why won't you do it? What's the reason?
I'm not, because I don't need to know what I am. I know what I am. I don't need to know what I am. It's not important to me. Boundaries are countries, and I'm over all of whoa, what's my background? A lot of people tell me, you seem to be very Italian. If I got my blood done, would I be surprised to find Italian in me? No, but I really don't care either way. I'm an American. I'm a human being, and that's really how I look at myself. I don't. Maybe it's because I'm adopted. Maybe not all people adopted think that way, but I do. I'm like, oh, you were Greek and Irish, I've been told, and Welsh and English. What does that matter to me? I wasn't raised by those people. I don't care.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. Should it matter to me? Is it that important to know what your bloodline is? Not really. If you want to get technical, since we both have a belief in a certain something, everyone's related to Adam and Eve. The end.
And that is all.
That is all. So I guess I've simplified the complicated. Life is complicated enough. Believe me. There's plenty of other things to fester over.
Roger S says, Jimmy, remember when Maiden? You love how I cut you off like that, right? Jimmy, remember when Maiden had a guy with I'm reading through my sunglasses, rubber mask and running around? Yeah, that was Eddie, wasn't it?
That's Eddie. Yeah. He's probably talking about the very first video that you and I probably saw on MTV, Iron Maiden, the song Iron Maiden from the album Iron Maiden by the band Iron Maiden.
Best Maiden song, dude.
Oh. No, that's almost impossible to say. If I'm pushed against the wall, Aces High.
Wow, good song.
Really it's tough though, man. They have so many great songs that I think of a whole bunch of other ones. I bet you some you don't even know.
No,
so,
yeah, my knowledge of Maiden library is not the greatest. I mean, I know all the mainstream, mainstream, the more popular ones. Real soon for roll call, and then we hit the show. First of all, thank you everybody for joining us on Thursday. We've got Foxhole, we've got RJ, we've got the First Lady. Gotta tell you, Maria, without being insulting to you, you are one gorgeous lady, man. I gotta be, you gotta be careful, dude, with women, right? You gotta, can't overstep your boundaries.
Maria
she is one beautiful lady. But again,
Maria's
I feel like
too real for internet.
No, but it's not that, dude. Yeah. I think a lot of times, I don't say to Jason Morning, "Hey, man, you're a really good looking guy." Just want to say that, buddy.
Jesus
you know
Christ.
What I mean? Phil,
wait a minute. Didn't you say that to Mike Fenster last week?
Only you would bring that name up. What? Just stop it. By the way, how much juice you think Phil's taking right now, bro?
Phil?
That guy is jacked to the gills.
Well, there's definitely an additive in his Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
You know what? I might have to start calling him out a little bit because he's our age and he's like literally.
Yeah, but all right, so let's take a look at the popular side effects. Does Phil strike you as somebody with roid rage? Fuck no. So
no, but listen, I don't believe in roid rage, dude. I think it's
don't?
a bunch of no, I don't. I really don't. I think it's an excuse when someone murders someone like their wife and kid.
His case,
roid rage.
But I think roid rage is real, but not an excuse for what Benoit did. No.
No gas, Phil says. All right, Phil, I know you don't lie, so no gas. But and if he did take the gas, he'd tell the truth.
So it's diesel. It's diesel, huh, Phil? It's not regular petroleum. It's diesel. Yeah.
All right,
wink,
dude.
Wink.
Yesterday,
through the shades.
Yesterday, your friend and your favorite musician and one of my favorite musicians. He is your favorite musician, isn't he?
No, he's not my favorite musician, but he's
Really?
definitely no. What makes you think that Jimmy was my favorite musician?
Well, let
I
me
was
ask you
thrown
this.
off by this.
Jimmy's birthday was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
Jimmy the greatest guitarist ever?
Yes. Yes, he is. He's the most important. He's the
Hence
most.
why I say he's your favorite musician.
No, he's not my favorite musician. My favorite musician. The first thing I look at in any musician is his composing, and that's why John Lennon is my favorite musician. I feel
All
that
right,
John
let me
Lennon
let me
crossed all
change
gamuts.
let me change
Yeah.
it then. How about this? Your
Yeah.
favorite instrument player?
No.
Wow.
No, there are guitarists I prefer to Jimi Hendrix, but that does not mean I don't know the greatness or hear the greatness of Jimi Hendrix or love him or had all his records, which I did, and know where he sits. He's the most important because he changed the whole platform as to how someone can play guitar and what they can get out of it. And that's what made him so great. I mean, to slam it home, Sergeant Pepper's was out for 2 days. McCartney was invited to see this kid that was brought over by Chas Chandler, the producer of the Animals from Harlem, named Jimi Hendrix, who was supposed to be the next great thing. And as Paul sat there in the probably up front, I'm assuming, Jimmy broke into Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The album had been out for 2 days. Jimmy made his own version of it, and it was spectacular. And Paul was just blown away. Paul was like, "Oh my God, this guy is just, there's no one like him." So basically, he reset the template, and so many people have him to thank for all the great music that appeared in the 70s and then even into the 80s. He was vital, vital, pioneer, genius. Left us too soon, but that figures.
Do you believe in that conspiracy theory though? About,
What's that?
that Joplin and Hendrix and Morrison were all murdered by the government?
Well, it's. Do I believe it? No. Do I see the possibilities in it? Yes. They were easy targets. People would have absolutely believed that if this was a conspiracy, that all three were just druggies and drugged themselves to death. I could see why people would think that. Do I personally think that's what happened? No. I could see why. Each one represented a certain aspect of society that definitely probably worried the government.
Hey, wait a minute. You know what? Mark Aho, I apologize for saying it. He said it wasn't his birthday; it was his death day. I thought it was his birthday yesterday. Did I get that wrong?
Oh, perhaps. There's like a February 18th or something that's sticking in my mind.
Hold on a second, man. I'm
I
gonna
I don't
check
know
this.
why that date's sticking in my
For some
mind, but
reason I had it at his birthday. So hold on. Just give me 1 second. It's the best part. Yep, I'm wrong. Well, it
it's
was
his
his death
birthday.
day. No, it was his death day.
It was his death day. Well, either way, it's a monumental day. If it's his birthday or his death day, it doesn't change the fact that he came into this world and he was what he was, and he's gone. You know, he was another typical rocket in the night. Just he was here and he was gone. He had a perfect record. He only got the chance to put out 3 studio albums with the Jimi Hendrix Experience while he was breathing, and they all went platinum plus. Everything he touched was fantastic. He was a pretty decent guy from what you hear. Jimi Hendrix was a pretty decent guy from
No,
what I've heard.
he was an airborne ranger too, right?
Yeah, I think he was, and they took away his guitar, and he begged for it back. I know I read that story in the what was it, "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky," I think was the name of the book. But yeah, he used to. He was very poor. He came from very humble beginnings. I mean, his first guitar was a right-hander's guitar that his father managed to buy for him, and he was left-handed, so he reversed all the strings, which is just it's look, I mean, some people don't need to go to school. It's just, those graduations that hang on the wall, as Billy Joel said, don't necessarily always help us at all. He didn't need one. I mean, he restrung his guitar and played it upside down.
Amazing. It's amazing that some people are born like that, right? It's
It
like
is.
you're just that gifted. It's like
It is.
second nature, you know?
When Mozart, as a young child, was sent to Ludwig von Beethoven, a true story, too, by the way. Mozart was a child prodigy sent to Beethoven to learn. Beethoven's notes, which still exist to this day, which I find incredible that those notes are still out there and they're in a collector's hands, I'm assuming. But Beethoven wrote about this kid who walked in and was all about whatever this kid was planning to do. He already had a style and knew what he wanted to do, and he thought the kid was very arrogant and was very self-centered and very over the top. Mozart was really the first rock star, if you understand what I'm saying, as far as his over the top behavior that he displayed as he got older. But Beethoven was not dumb. At the end of those notes, he wrote, the kid's a genius, and he's going to do great things. He's just going to do it his way.
Yeah.
And I found that very interesting. But Jimmy was one of those. He was just, you didn't have to teach him. He knew what to do, and he did it, and he changed everything. The same way Mozart wrote in the vein that he did, that no other classical composer before or since has done quite like him. You know, I mean, there were aspects of Haydn, which was his influence, but in general, no. Mozart was the first real rock star in classical music, and Jimmy just carried that torch. Hundreds of years later, maybe 100 and change. I don't know, something like that.
So in the news, let's go a couple of things before we start hitting the main subjects.
The news.
Right?
I always cringe at the news. What idiot did what?
Huge python grabs Thai woman in her kitchen, squeezes her for 2 hours before she's freed. Talk about having a bad day, Jimmy. In Bangkok, 64-year-old woman was preparing to do her evening dishes at her home outside Bangkok when she felt a sharp pain in her thigh and looked down as she saw a huge python taking hold of her. I was about to scoop some water, and then I sat down a bit, and I sat down. It bit me immediately, whatever her name is. When I looked, I saw the snake wrapped around me. Bro, what are you thinking about that?
I don't think that it comes nearly as close to the squeezing that some wrestlers charge at conventions for their autograph and photo.
Oh, very funny. No, but seriously, dude, think about that. If you live in a place where a fucking snake is going to wrap itself around you and try to kill you.
Yeah, I've been told that that's where I live. I haven't seen one yet, but what are you going to do?
You haven't seen any snakes there?
Not yet. I mean, well, yeah, no, I did. I did in the park when I went over to St. Andrews Park. Snakes and gators.
Snakes and gators, man. See, that's got to be hard for you, dude, because I was thinking about that. Like, the one thing about in New York, or if you live in the Northeast, the interaction between yourself and deadly animals are a lot less. So that is the good thing about it, right? Because as you go down to the central states and then down south, you've got bears, snakes, lions, whatever fuck, not lions.
Yeah, you also got tornadoes and hurricanes. So there's that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, dude, let's get to the main portion of the show. Pop this up for you here. Sean Puffy Combs arrested in Manhattan after grand jury indictment. The music mogul has been under mounting scrutiny since 2023 lawsuit by his former girlfriend, Casey, accused him of sex trafficking for years of abuse. Mr. Combs' representatives called him an innocent man. Sean Combs, the music mogul whose career has been upended by sexual assault lawsuits and federal investigations, was arrested at his Manhattan hotel on Monday evening after grand jury indicted him. The indictment is sealed, and the charges were not announced by Mark Agafilo, a lawyer of Mr. Combs, said he believed that he was being charged with racketeering and sex trafficking. The statement from Mr. Combs' legal team said they were disappointed with the decision to prosecute him and noted that he had been cooperative with the investigators and had voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist. What is that?
Philanthropist.
There you go. Who has got the English language down, buddy. Who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the Black community. The statement said he is an imperfect person, but he's not a criminal. Jimmy.
Yeah. You know how I feel about this. I don't know the first thing about Puff Diddy Combs. He is not a musical icon to me. I don't care what he's done musically. I don't like this part of the statement. And yep, I'm always the one to point this shit out because it makes everybody uncomfortable. What is this? A adoring his children and working to uplift the black community. What is that? What about just uplifting the human race? How about that? So I don't understand that part. Voluntarily relocated to New York last week, so he's been cooperative. That doesn't change the fact that they're going to charge him with anything. But the real problem here I have, Mike, before I really weigh in truly, is I really don't know what the hell a trafficker legally is supposed to be. Because when I think of trafficking, I think of what they do to those poor, women and sometimes children and sometimes young boys too, or whatever they do. They'll take them and they'll round them up. They're usually from very poor areas, and they'll put them on trains or in the back of trucks or whatever, and they'll ship them off to somewhere to sell their bodies for sex for profit. So I get confused when I hear of the Vince thing, and maybe we'll be getting to that.
Okay, so before we even get into it, let's go
Yeah.
through the definition of sex trafficking,
Please.
and then we'll go back to Puffy Combs, and then we'll go in. Obviously, it's a wrestling show. We'll go into the Vince McMahon because Janelle Grant's lawyers and people representing him had a press conference today. But sex trafficking is a form of human trafficking in which individuals are coerced, forced, and deceived into engaging commercial sex acts against their will. It's involving exploitation, someone for sexual purposes through manipulation, fraud, threats, violence, and abduction. Exploitation can take place in various settings such as brothels, escort services, massage parlors, and street prostitution. Victims may be adults or children, and traffickers often use physical, emotional, or psychological abuse to control their victims. In many legal systems, sex trafficking is recognized as a severe crime and a human rights violation. Well, I wouldn't understand why that would not be the case. But let's go back to Puff Daddy. Now, I understand right? Sean Combs, right? You said you don't know much about him, so
no.
But he is a musical icon. He's a multimillionaire. He's represented Tupac Shakur at some point, obviously Biggie Smalls himself. He's been in movies, whatever the case is. All right. So that's all well and good.
Yeah.
So, most recently, there's a video out there of him beating his girlfriend.
Really?
At a hotel, looked like she was escaping or whatever else. And this is the one that really brought the light on to what's happening with Sean Puffy Combs.
Can I ask, was this the one in the elevator?
That is the one, Jimmy. You are
what?
Exactly
so,
correct.
okay. Small kudos to me. I actually have seen that. Okay, fine. Gotcha.
So, Sean Combs has been indicted for sex trafficking.
Okay.
We understand what sex trafficking is. Before we get into Vince McMahon and what I've read about Sean Combs and what we went into the definition of sex trafficking, explain to me after I read that to you. I know it was quick, so you probably didn't absorb it all. Neither did I.
Right.
But we kind of get the idea. I think everybody kind of gets the idea. So now I ask you this: do you believe or understand in sex trafficking, or do you think it's another made-up way of someone being able to get out of their situation because they've been manipulated?
Could be the latter. The one thing I did pick up on was you said there were four kind of like parameters. Could you read those again? Brothels. Yep. I heard they were one of them. Was brothels, street on the
brothels,
street?
Escort services, massage parlors, and street prostitution.
All right. And now look, as far as those four, I don't know if Diddy is guilty of any of that stuff. I have no idea.
Okay, let's go. Let me go a different route with you.
I'm even thinking about Vince. I'm like, brothels, massage parlors.
Let me go a different way.
No.
Do you are intrigued with Charles Manson? Obviously.
Yeah.
Do you believe that people have the power over other people to make them do what they don't want to do?
If the circumstances make the individual feel that they're boxed in and don't have an out, then they will succumb to outside forces influencing them in bad ways. You understand what I just said?
Say it again.
If an individual feels that there's no out for themselves and they feel completely cornered by circumstances that they can't get out of, they will collapse to someone, if that someone is someone like a Manson, who knows knowingly that they are dealing with a weakened individual that they can bend and manipulate, then yeah, it happens. Of course it happens.
All right, so slow down.
Yeah.
Plenty of time here to discuss this.
Uh-huh.
Situation, meaning what? You're broke, you have no food, and this person's willing to help you.
Let's use Manson as an example, okay? Manson was very, very intelligent. That's a fact. All right. He was also very, very crazy. That's also a fact. Both things that he would not deny. He would say, I'm smart, but I'm also fucking crazy dangerous. All right. Manson could recognize most of his family was built by prowling the streets, finding girls who were sitting in darkened alleys and on corners, eating a
In a
rotting
bad
apple.
situation, ran away from home,
It's
have
your
no money,
classic.
have
It's
no
almost
food, whatever.
yeah. And Charlie would find a way to reel them in, and the next thing they know, they're tying up people. You know what I'm saying? Was it their free will? Of course it was their free will. But when a person who's that weak and thinks that little of life and of themselves and is desperate, and someone who offers them even the slightest thing like fresh food in Charlie Manson's followers' case, or at least better food than what they were eating on the goddamn gutter sitting next to the rat, it happens. Now, I don't know about Diddy. I don't know if Diddy's
All right,
got...
well, slow down a second. I want to
Yeah.
really discuss this. So
Okay.
I understand your point. Person's in a weakened state.
It's not a point. It's happened.
No, I
It's
got
not
it.
even a point. You
But
know what I mean? It's
person's
just
a person's in a weakened state. Here comes somebody. They hook them up. They kind of take
Right.
advantage, and they start. We'll use the word grooming in a certain way.
yeah.
Let me ask you this: is that any different than a bank loaning you money because you need to pay your bills and they're charging you interest?
Oh, I am no fan of the loan shark, but there's different
But
extremes here.
my point is like,
It's
okay,
different. It's similar, but it's way different too.
explain.
Look,
Explain.
well, what is there to explain? Okay, basically, when I'm talking about Charlie Manson, I'm talking about babies being cut out of stomachs.
I'm not talking
right?
about Charlie
You know?
Manson, for example. Right now we're talking about P. Diddy. We're
Listen,
eventually going to go into Vince
Listen,
McMahon.
evil appears in all different forms, and I have always felt that credit card companies are fucking evil. Yes, they do prey on the desperate. Yes, they do fucking charge insane interest rates for those who need the money. It is similar, and I applaud you for pointing that out, but it's also very different. Evil comes in all sorts of different ways, and manipulation comes in all sorts of different ways from different walks of life and different people who represent the bad in this world. You don't have to be Charlie Manson to be Harvey Weinstein. You don't. You know?
I get it, but my point is, at what point is the other human being? Look, we're talking about adults, right? I'm not talking about children. Children's a whole different
fine.
situation.
You know,
right?
there are some children who lived more adult lives than some adults ever will.
I get it, but still, there is a proven point where you're not mature enough to really understand stuff. But there is a point where when are you responsible for your own self? You put yourself. Wait a minute, hold on. You put yourself in a situation. Again, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to play the other side of it.
I understand.
Okay? You put yourself in a situation where whatever you decided, I don't want to go to school, or I don't want to listen to my parents, or I don't want to do this, or maybe there's some cases where they're living with a parent that's sexually molesting them and they want to get out. I don't know. But my point is when is the adult responsible for the adult decision? In my mind, I cannot grab the concept that someone could weigh so much on you that you will do things to appease them without free will.
Right.
That's my question to you, Jimmy.
It's not really a question. That's really how you're looking at it. It's you're not really asking me a question. You're stating how you look at it.
Well, I'm asking you to respond what I'm saying to you.
Well, here's the deal. At the end of the day, it depends on the circumstances. It depends on the situation, but it always depends at the end of the day on you yourself. So I am agreeing with you that it does depend on that. You got to fucking know. Look, there's many times I could have gone down some real dark alleys. You got to know when that's no good for you. You got to know. And if you don't know, you're probably lying to yourself, okay? You know, unless someone is so far gone and I can't comprehend. Look, everybody was wired differently the moment they came out of the womb. I don't fucking know.
But let me ask you, are you like today's society where you blame everybody for your shortcomings, right?
No, I don't blame anybody. I don't
I'm not
blame
talking
anybody
about
for
you
my
in general,
shortcomings.
bro. I'm not
Yeah,
talking about
no,
you. I'm just
no.
talking about a society right now in general, right? It's like, oh, woe is me. I've been hanging around with Sean Puffy Combs for 3 years, and now
Right.
I'm going to say he's been sex trafficking me.
Right. Well, if that's the case, that's a total bunch of horse shit. Of course, I mean, are there potential similarities between Sean and Vince? I would say so. But we don't know enough. We know a lot more about Vince's thing than we do about this P. Diddy, whatever his name is, Handbrush, Combs, or whatever he calls himself. I'm being very musically ignorant right now, I assume, but
And again, at no point is this show or myself uh, claiming the man is innocent or guilty. You're
right,
not guilty until you're proven guilty in a court of law. That is our
right,
country. But
right.
I'm looking at another point. Marie, I got your message. Thank you. I'm going to read that later. I don't think you want me to read it on the show. So, but thank you again. I love Maria Davis. She's such an intelligent person.
Yes, he is.
I
For sure.
just, my point is like, when are we responsible for
We're,
ourselves?
we don't have that. It's more and more getting away from that. I couldn't agree with you more about that, Mike. One way or the other, the accountability is that there is no accountability. There's no accountability. Nobody has any accountability. It's just the way it is now. We're in a very whiny stage in our country's history. Everybody just whines, you know.
Well, today, Janelle Grant, I'll read
Another
the thing
whiner.
to you.
Here we go.
By the way, our boy, our friend out there, Lee Cole, he did a little thing on it, and he said that Janelle Grant in today's video I saw when I was perusing,
Yeah.
because I was trying to find information that she's now a wonderful person. I don't know her, but
Okay.
whatever.
She's
Janelle
wonderful.
Grant brings
All right.
on PR firm SKDK ahead of the Vince McMahon docuseries. And now, obviously, of course, the Vince McMahon docuseries, from what I understand, we've discussed this, is a very pro Vince McMahon thing. But we're hearing they may have done some changes. I don't know. This is going to be very interesting, Jimmy. Janelle Grant has retained a PR firm ahead of the premiere of Vince McMahon's docuseries. Now, let me stop there. Got to stop there.
Please. I'm
Explain
glad
this
you
to me.
did.
Explain this to me.
Yeah. Every
Why
victim
do
should,
you have to get a PR firm?
because and this is as hip. I'm being as sarcastic as possible because every victim should have a PR firm. Get the fuck out of here. Really? They should have a PR firm. Right. Right. You know what, Mike? I was thinking about it when I had that incident back in high school. I should have had a PR firm.
A PR firm with to speak for you.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? You know where I'd be right now, probably.
Grant previously filed a lawsuit against McMahon in which she alleged that she was a victim of sex trafficking, emotional abuse, and sexual assault. Vince McMahon denied allegations. He then resigned for the WWE TKO. Vince McMahon remains under federal investigation. Now, stop there. In the show today, I'll call it a show. Fuck that. It was a show. They spoke about the issues that and all the terrible things that Vince McMahon did, and John Laurinaitis and the WWE and the doctor, and they're holding them all accountable for what has happened to Janelle Grant.
So nothing's Janelle Grant's fault. She's not responsible for anything. She was whisked away from a poor country, thrown on a train, and then into a box truck, and then forced to sell her body, while she received zero compensation. No, that's not really the story, is it, Mike? It's
No,
not. She doesn't come. She doesn't come from a brothel. She doesn't come from the streets. She doesn't come from. No, she has a fucking PR firm, right? And I'm gonna bleed mercy for her, and just decide that I've made up my mind and I know who's good and I know who's bad, and that's that. Nope, I ain't doing that. So when this whole thing winds up dissipating like smoke, eventually, or Vince passes away, whichever comes first, whatever. Just one more dart thrown by somebody with a blindfold on, the way I look at it, but that's me.
Well, let me carry on.
Yeah.
In the press release, SKDK announced that attorneys for Janelle Grant retain the services of SKDK's Kendra Barkoff Lammy ahead of the premiere of the Vince McMahon docuseries. Barkoff, Lammy, and SKK have represented the survivors of Harvey Weinstein, Marilyn Manson, Jeffrey Epstein, and more. Okay, so let's stop there.
Oh,
I know quite a bit, and we've actually discussed this on a show many times.
They're the Budweiser of victims. Go ahead.
Okay, Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
Clear his misrepresentation of power, right? This is a different situation.
Absolutely. Agreed.
You work for me. If you want to continue working in the industry because I'm so powerful, you need to sleep with me.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, I will make you pay. And I will ruin your career. And I will do this to you. And I will do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
That is clearly illegal and clearly should be
immoral.
Immoral, another good word.
More important.
And certainly people should get their justice for it, right? And he was found guilty, as he should have been.
Right.
And there were plenty of people that came out about him, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm with you.
Let's talk about Marilyn Manson. So Marilyn Manson has been accused by good God, I can't remember her name now. Give me 1 second.
Kamala Harris?
No, shut up.
Sorry.
That's a good one, dude.
Thank you.
That's a really good one. That is a really good one.
This subject makes me sick. I'm sure the fans can see my body language out there.
What do you mean it makes? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Evan Rachel Wood. I'm sorry, from The Wrestler. So there's a documentary on Max, and it's really good. And she speaks about being groomed by Marilyn Manson. Mm-hmm. Now, in this particular case, we're going through these cases so we really understand this, right? In this particular case, she was a teenager. She met Marilyn Manson, right? They started off friends. He would talk to her.
Did they?
Kind of get her.
Did they start off friends already? I don't believe it. I think that she threw herself at him and he liked young girls. Go ahead, next. Keep going.
Could be. Fair enough, Jimmy. That's a fair statement.
This is fucking rock and roll. What are we talking here? Keep going.
Okay, but so, all of a sudden she's being sucked in by this guy.
All of a sudden.
And then he starts feeding her drugs, right?
Well, he's an asshole, obviously, from what we've heard. Go ahead.
Right. And then at some point, she claims that during a music video where she was acting with him, he actually had sex with her, and she didn't want to, but he kept going.
Right. Right.
But okay, so I understand it's rock and roll, okay, but
it doesn't make that right what I said. I was just saying.
I understand what you're saying.
I seriously doubt she wasn't down inspecting his kosher Frank right off the bat. But go ahead.
Here's where I'm talking about grooming and I don't want to call it sex trafficking in this case because it was only one person.
Was there anybody else, Mike, that came up, came out of the woodwork regarding Manson? Like, he's done this to me.
Yeah, there was one or two other girls.
What was the final result of Manson's trial?
Nothing. Then
so
nothing.
It was paid
I think
off
he lost. He might have lost a civil lawsuit. Again, I'm speaking out of turn because I really wasn't prepared to talk about this.
Right.
I would have to revisit it. Again, my mind has only so much to tape up. Right. So, but my point is, these are different situations, right? We've got a guy using his power to destroy people's lives for sex. You've got another guy that starts with a young girl and gets her ready. Look, dude, let's be 100% honest, right? So say you were, forget being a million, who cares? Say you're nobody, right? Like we are.
Are we pretending?
No, we're not pretending.
What are we?
But like, say it's the situation, right? I see this young girl and she's good looking. Yeah. So I start working on her when she's 12, right? Because then you start playing that daddy role, and then by the time she's 18, all of a sudden she you're the guy, like you're the guy in her mind.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Okay.
Listen, I'm not saying that's something I would do. What I'm saying is,
good.
What I'm trying to say to you is that's a grooming process.
Yeah, but it just hammers home what I told you earlier, that evil appears in all different forms and aspects of society. Weinstein's couldn't be more different than Charlie's background. Charlie's background couldn't be more different than Marilyn Manson, who his last name, oddly enough, was taken after Charlie. But they're all different. They're all different, but they're all still evil nonetheless.
But you understand my statement here. We're looking at Sean Puffy Combs, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, again, he's been arrested. They obviously have something
Right.
that they think they're going to get him or indict
Right.
him on, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
But different situation, and we're going to get into the Vince McMahon
Well,
situation. Which
here's one thing I was thinking about. You know, the sex trafficking definition, or the idea I gave early on about how I look at it, like, it's usually poor, people ripped off the streets, their children ripped off the streets. In case of, I would like to think, unless I don't know it all, I would like to think in the case of Combs or in the case of Vince McMahon, unlike the people who were truly being sexually trafficked and were done probably through cartels or whatever goes and does these sorts of things, mobs, whatever they fucking do, you can't get away. If you get away, they'll kill you. Is Vince McMahon killing Janelle Grant? She had years to fucking walk away from this without the Porsche and the car. And like you're saying with Diddy Combs, how many years was this person with Diddy? You weren't in jail. You know who was oddly enough more in jail than those two ladies? Elizabeth. Elizabeth was locked in a room with TV dinners. Right. You know what I'm saying? Janelle Grant was never even locked in a room with TV dinners. She was taking cars and living in beautiful apartments.
Again,
I don't know.
Let's talk about that Elizabeth thing, right? We've had Poffo on. You've heard all the wrestlers speak about it, right?
Yeah.
I think I had heard a statement which made more sense than all of it, was that he didn't lock her. Macho Randy Savage didn't lock her away because of that. He locked her away to keep her away from the boys because he was worried about the boys.
I agree with him.
And here's the other thing: when you find out more about her, like when she realized that this was a prison that she did not like being in anymore,
right?
She broke away. She broke away.
She didn't slander him. She didn't slander him and sue him and do all that other shit.
She left.
Right. And you know what? Oddly enough, of all people, Jesse. I recently heard Jesse asked about Macho Man's overly protective ways with Elizabeth, and was he right or wrong?
Right.
And I'll give Jesse credit here. Jesse's answer was short and sweet. He was like, it was his fucking wife. He was protecting her from the fucking pigs.
Yeah.
He goes, I was never a pig. I said hello to her. I was courteous with her. She was a professional and a co-worker to me. And I believe Jesse when he says that.
Let me give you an example. Chris Candido, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy passed away, but I mean, think of the humiliation. Look, we're all men and we're all women. There's humiliation involved in all that thing. Whether people like, Scott Hall was on our show, goes, oh, we kind of heard it was their thing. There's a major humiliation that goes on. Macho Man probably didn't want to have any chance of being humiliated by anybody.
Right. And you know what, though? There is always the choice, because I think we know damn well if that had been me with what Candido went through, I would have fucking, like, if I walked in on Shawn Michaels banging my girlfriend, I would have walked into the locker room, found the heaviest blunt object I could find, and bashed him in the back of the head while he's in the process of making puppies. That would have been it. I don't care if I'm fired. I don't give a fuck. You got to be able to look in the mirror at yourself. I would have been like, fuck this shit. I'm beating the fuck out of this guy.
If anybody in the chat room remembers this, I don't know what movie it is, but it's with the girl from Chucky and this guy. And I always remember this movie because I was thinking about humiliation, right?
Yeah.
And they like robbed this house. The guy, it's like a nerdy guy. He has this hot wife. It's the girl from Chucky. I forget her name with the voice. Good looking girl. She's old now, but
all right. Okay.
And then what they do is they tie the guy up, and then they put him in the bathroom, and they fuck his wife, right?
Right.
And she's liking it, right?
Oh, that's great.
And then he's like crying in the bathroom because he can't help her. And then at some point they take him, and I think they bring him in the bedroom to watch them fuck, and she's liking it.
Right.
And and that always stuck with me. And I'm thinking to myself, whenever we spoke to people about Candido and all that, because that's probably the most brutal or the most
it's up there, humiliation factor. Yeah,
I'm like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
No wonder he took drugs, man.
Yeah. Well, he obviously had low self-esteem because he did nothing about it.
Well, how about Sonny? You talk about evil in different ways. I already know all the other problems she's caused.
Oh yeah.
How do you do that to someone you love? Why wouldn't you just break away from them and walk away from them?
How do you sit at the dinner table when your father's king of a land and say to him, "Bring me the head of John the Baptist," because you want to put your father on the spot?
Wow.
How do you do that?
It's a good comment.
So yeah. I mean, come on. like you said, and like I've said, evil appears in all sorts of different forms and faces, but it's still evil nonetheless.
So we're well into this.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts are going to happen to Vincent Kennedy and McMahon?
You know what? It's so gray to me. I mean, if history, tells us anything, that this will go away. It will eventually go away, or Vince will go away first. I don't really know, but I don't look at her like a victim the way I would look at, Sharon Tate. That's a victim. I don't feel that she was a victim. I feel that she profited from it. She took money to shut up, and then when it wasn't to her liking, she went for more and more and more and more and more. And that to me doesn't sound like a victim. That sounds to me like somebody who got herself into a world that she could profit from, ran wild for a while, and when it wasn't to her liking, looked to cash in on it. That's
Can
pretty.
I also
like,
lend something? I was talking to Benny from the Dan and Benny show this afternoon.
All right.
And we started discussing something. I want to lay something on you and tell me what this sounds like to you. Now, Diddy has been indicted, right? He's in jail without bail, right?
All right. Yeah.
Diddy had his home raided on March 25th of this year.
Okay.
Vince McMahon had his home raided of July 17th last year.
Okay.
So answer me this.
Yeah.
If they've already indicted Diddy after, 6 months, wouldn't you think they would have gotten McMahon already if they had something?
I've been feeling that way for a while about the McMahon situation. It just keeps going and going, and now that she has a PR firm, the whole thing is just.
Look, there's no doubt they had the press conference because the docuseries is coming out. Okay,
right?
That is easy to figure out. But again, I will question this again. 17 months against 6 months. Please explain to me if they had something on Vincent Kennedy and McMahon, they would have done something. Now, if you listen to some people out there, they're saying they're waiting for the presidential race, right? Because they associate Vince McMahon with
Trump.
Oh my God, Trump. Sorry, Jesus Christ. I don't believe it. At this point, that is the biggest thing in my head. Like, if they had something on this guy, they would have done something already.
You would think so by now, but I've learned to not have any faith in anything behind the scenes with the justice system. Donald Trump has now been shot at and shot once and shot at twice. Where's the investigations? Where is the uproar from the government that any political candidate that's running for office, especially as high as president, should not constantly have his life, on the line and being shot at on a semi-regular basis over the last couple of months? It's now become semi-regular. What the fuck is that? So I don't really trust anything. Do I think that they have anything on Vince? If they had it, they would have gone after him by now full force. This wouldn't just be going in circles,
That would be the Jimmy. That would be the common thought right now in my mind.
It's going in circles.
I mean, yeah. Again, just destroying a person's life because something.
It's what we do online. If we don't like somebody, especially, look, Vince McMahon definitely leans closer to one ideology than the other. And right now, this country is broken right in half on two separate ideologies that really bear very little in common. Okay. And Vince is on that other side. All right. A lot of people love him or hate him. That's all it's about now. And if you hate them, you get to go on a keyboard and just bash away. Go ahead. I was going to say, not for nothing. I mean, God forbid we talk about the whole picture and we still got people calling us names. I find that hilarious that people get online and call us names because we have an opinion. Some fucker, and I got to get this out, some fucker, when we were talking about 9/11, that their comment is that we played victim during that telecast. How the fuck is that? We were all victims that day. What are you fucking talking about?
Dude, I missed that comment. I'm going to have to look
that was one of the most ill-advised, ill-informed, dumbass fucking opinions I've ever seen. I just laughed
Wait a
at
minute.
it.
Try to explain it to me again. We were talking about 9/11, and he said we were playing the victim.
Yeah, look at these dudes, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, playing the victim about 9/11. Well, fuck you, buddy. My fucking uncle worked in the buildings. Did yours? Fuck off. You know, I watched that from live on top of a fucking rooftop. Doesn't make me a victim. It makes me a fucking eyewitness, you asshole.
Yeah, it makes you an
What is
observer
wrong
of
with
a
you?
situation, right?
You fucking
It's like
keyboard warrior. I hope your fucking fingers fall off from jerking off too much. That fucking shit pissed me off. Anyway.
Eric Bischoff confused by
Whatever.
weird Netflix situation in WWE. He says, I'm confused, Bischoff said on 83 Weeks recently. The situation confusing me that this is Netflix who just signed a $5 billion deal with the WWE.
Right.
The ink is still drying. They haven't even had their first show yet, but Netflix is going to take what has been the face of the WWE and they're going to expose him to the world in a way that's not going to be flattering to the brand. One would think it would not be flattering. Bischoff wonders if Netflix is going to the documentary out of the way in September so they can basically they just can get rid of Vince McMahon and get rid of the name, right? Put on something and end their relationship with the name Vince McMahon.
This doesn't make sense to me.
They're trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon. So
by airing a documentary on Vince McMahon, they're trying to distance themselves from Vince McMahon.
In a way, it kind of makes sense, right? It does make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They're doing this because it's going to...
Hold on. If I put a documentary on Jimmy Farrow and it's really bad,
three views.
And
three views.
No, more than that. If
4,
I'll give it a couple thousand.
Gee, thanks.
Anyway,
wow. I knew I should have filled out that application at the grocery store. Go ahead.
So, if you do a bad documentary on somebody, right, and you're showing it in a bad light, people are like, oh, they're anti Vince McMahon. They're trying to wash their way from Vince McMahon. I think that's the idea behind it, Jimmy.
I think the idea behind it is that a documentary on Vince McMahon and having the ability to corner that and be able to do that is a lot of money. That's what I think. I think Netflix is doing it because it's going to make them money.
I think
that's what I fucking think. You know what I mean? So I know you're going to watch it. I don't even have Netflix. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I'm going to see this.
Dude, you get it for like $9, dude. You watch on your phone. Fuck. I'd watch it.
$9.
It's $9. It's well worth it, dude. They got like
I can't even see membership videos, and you want me to give Netflix $9?
Because our membership videos cost more than Netflix.
I'm the fucking pharaoh. I should not have to have a membership to watch my own videos.
You know what? You're right. We got to take care of that. I'm going to take care of that tomorrow.
This is just...
You're right. You're right. That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
By the way, Hulu pulled a fast one regarding the WWE. Can I complain about that for a few seconds?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, as most folks know, Hulu has been for years carrying Raw and SmackDown, right? I've been watching it on my phone for years, just like you said. Get it on your phone. I can't always be at home. There's, I need to see it. We got a show to do. Blah blah blah. I go to.
By the way, I think Hulu costs more than Netflix. By the way,
Hulu they just let me know that on my birthday, because they love me so much. On my birthday coming up, they're going to raise it to $18.99 a month on my phone. I was like, oh, I love you guys. So then I
love you, Jimmy.
I love you. So I went to put on grits. Anyone? I went to put on fucking SmackDown,
right?
And it says you no longer are your subscription no longer applies to SmackDown. To see your account information, click on your. I'm like,
so you need the premier Hulu account.
Now I need Hulu Plus Max or whatever the fuck, And I'm like, fuck you. See, now Karen's a genius and I'm not. Karen's got YouTube TV, which has all of this shit. So I just went and watched it on the TV inside because somebody, thank God, in this house has a brain.
Listen, let me tell you something. The problem with we're older, right? So I like old movies, and sometimes I'll just be sitting back. I got nothing to do. I'll be like,
right.
I'm like, you know what I'd like to watch? I'd like to watch Vision Quest. You know what I mean? Remember that movie? Right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
And then you look up, if you look on your phone, Vision Quest, you can see where to watch it.
Right.
It's on everything but the things that you have.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's on everything but. And it's like every movie is like that. It's it's fucking.
Well, almost any movie that's important You know? Oh, you want to
Yes.
watch the original Dracula? Good luck, buddy. That'll be $19.99 a month plus.
Yeah,
And
on
we've got the
Amazon
Wolfman
Prime.
too. We got the Wolfman and we got the Creature and we got the Mummy.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
have any of them. They're mine. It's ridiculous.
I got Amazon Prime. They have all the Star Trek show, the original Star Trek series.
Yeah.
Got to pay extra. It's ridiculous.
Really?
It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
You know,
Trek.
the other night, Cameron wanted to see Oliver Stone's The Doors. She's never seen it, right? So I went looking for it. Oh, good luck, buddy.
Hey, you know where it is? You know where it is, though?
Where is it?
It's on Netflix.
Oh, well,
because I was actually going to watch it, but every movie I pick, my wife goes, "I hate that movie."
Right.
I hate that movie. No matter what I pick. Oh, how many times are you going to watch that movie?
Right.
So like when the Iron Claw comes on, I purposely put it on every time. She's like,
then you pick ones you figure you can't go wrong on. You want to see Rocky? Sucks. Jaws. Fucking underwater movies are stupid. Star Wars. Yeah, perfect for you. A Space Cadet. Yeah, you can't really win.
Listen, last week we brought up the question of Bully Ray's sexuality. Do you remember that?
You did. I didn't.
Well, I actually didn't. It was from someone from the chat brought it up, right? But I got to laugh, Jimmy. I was listening to Busted Open the other day, and actually it was Thursday, so it was Wednesday night. He does what do you call it? AEW Dynamite recap, I think, right? And he just kept talking about how he has a super hot smoking girlfriend, and I'm like, oh, poor Bully. We got to him.
Yeah, we did.
Got to him.
We did. Yeah, but does Bully know that the fat chicks you hung out with in high school do not apply to super hot?
No, well, he doesn't get it at all, man.
Wow,
he doesn't get it at all.
Wow.
Let me ask you this, and this is
boy.
again on a more serious level, right? We spoke about Bully Ray.
Yeah.
This is the perfect, we were talking about agendas and everything, people, right? So
yeah.
So Russo, who we're hoping to have on the show, on his show, he was complaining about. We spoke about Denise Salcedo. Remember her, the podcaster? She's pretty popular.
Yeah,
and she's on Fightful, and here's a great picture of her too. Like now she's a sex kitten, I guess. It's like okay.
Wow.
Hi, I'm a podcaster. Hi, I'm a podcaster.
I'm tuning into Sanford and Son reruns while she's on, but go ahead.
Dude, whatever. But no, seriously, it's like, come on now.
Yeah.
It's like, I purposely.
Wait a minute. Hold on. That's the sexy podcaster?
Dude, I got to be honest with you. Like, if that's your sexiest picture, stick to podcasting.
Well, maybe at least try black and white.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. She'd probably look much better in black.
Probably,
and white, sure. But anyway, Russo has been complaining about her a lot because he's like, he doesn't understand. It's like fans watching a fan talk about wrestling. It's not someone from the business. And we already spoke about how Bully Ray treats fans about his little ordeal there. So then I start thinking to self, Bully Ray's on Busted Open, right?
Yeah.
And Salcedo is on Busted Open.
Right.
Why isn't Bully Ray quitting Busted Open? Because they have a fan on there. A fan that's doing a show.
Hypocrisy.
Like why? That's what I'm saying. What's the deal? Where's the hypocrisy? What's the deal there, bro?
Well,
explain that to me, Jimmy. Give it to me.
Thou cannot serve both God and money, and apparently money's a lot stronger in some people's universes. So there you go. What is there to say?
So what you're trying to say is his high moral ground that the boys, the wrestlers are here, and the fans are here. When it comes to money or balls, because he claims he has a lot of balls, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to money or balls, it doesn't fall into place because he wants to get paid.
Right. Well, he's still putting himself over against guys that he shouldn't in wrestling promotions. He's very consistent in his selfishness, Mike. He's very consistent. What he's also very consistent is denying his selfishness and then calling out the people who put the money in his pocket, like fans. Look, there's a lot of positive things I like about Vince Russo's career, and there's a lot of negative things. And I find it even more ironic that Vince is saying that, it's just fans watching fans. Once upon a time, there was a super fan who suddenly appeared on WWE programming. And I thought to myself, who's this guy? And that super fan, which was how he was first kind of introduced to us, being very critical about Vince's product on air, and everything like that, became the guy who had a hand in the Attitude Era, and he had an important hand. I know we like to take shots at him, but those shots are usually well earned. We're usually feeding off of whatever ridiculous thing he said at the given moment, which we're all capable of doing. But as far as that goes, I think that Vince Russo has even less right than Bubba Ray. Neither of them have a right, but Bubba Ray, to his defense, like he says, hey, I took the bumps. I was in the locker rooms. Yeah, we got all of that, Bubba. But in Vince's case, what do you have? What do you mean you have a problem with fans talking to fans? You were the first super fan. What are you talking about? There wouldn't be probably any of this without the introduction of Vince Russo, the character, way, way back before he became known as Vince Russo, the writer, the collaborator, and all that other stuff. So come on, Vince. Remember where you came from. You made a great, great living out of it, bro.
That's really well said, Jimmy. I got to give you kudos for that whole statement there.
I don't start drinking till after 11. We get off the air.
No, but dude, I you know what? That was so well said, because the reality of it is like, yeah, it's like you were a fan once,
right?
And
right.
The hypocrisy. Listen, there will be a point I will call Busted Open and I will call him out on his shit. Right. I'm setting the table for the Monty family here.
I get it that guys like Vince Russo and Paul Heyman had a certain something about them that factored in as to why they are where they are today. I get all of that.
Wait a minute. So Russo was talking about Salcedo. I want to give this to you. So he says, he goes, she's on Fightful. She's on Busted Open. Right. She's in all these wrestling events. He goes, she's just a fan. Then he said that he spoke to Dave LaGreca, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And he said to LaGreca, like, what's the deal here? This is just a fan.
Dave's looking strange nowadays. Go ahead.
Well, he said that LaGreca broke down to him and said, hey, look, I'm trying to build Busted Open, and I have to get a younger audience.
Right.
So so according to Russo, he agreed with him, but he wanted a younger audience. So again, this is the almighty dollar, right? Salcedo's got a following.
Right.
She's got a following. She obviously fans watch her. There's this other girl out there like Blonde Dizzy or something. Dude, you go to her live Raw watch-alongs, there's like a kabillion people in there. Okay. So they've got their following. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But this goes back to the beginning of the show where's the moral fiber? Like, why, if that's the way you're going, David LaGreca, then why aren't you putting Bully Ray in his place and straighten him out? See, that's the problem I have with these wrestling shows, okay? And this is what you get over here. We talk about real issues. Obviously, we talk about wrestling, but we talk about issues in wrestling and issues in life. And it's like, there's no fucking moral fiber. I mean, Russo said, you won't catch me calling a Giant game. You know why? Because I wasn't a player, and it's like,
that's silly.
And I'm, well, whatever the case is, my point is this better than thou attitude. If you're going to draw lines like that, I'm a black and white person, right? I'm not, there's no gray in my life. If you're saying it's supposed to be this way, then you shouldn't comment on anything but wrestling. You shouldn't comment. Look, Vince Russo, right? Don't ever talk about the Beatles again, because you know nothing about music. You never played an instrument. You have no fucking opinion about anything. Bully Ray, stick to wrestling and selling cars, because they're the two things that you fucking did. And maybe getting dumped by that hot smoking chick that dumped your ass.
I think the most important point is we all have the right to talk about what we want, because it's called an opinion. The holier than thou thing doesn't work. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. I mean, I hate to be so simple about it, but
no, listen, it really is that simple. It really is that simple.
I mean, look, I never liked it when Boomer Esiason would always do that with his on-air etiquette. I was never a ball player. How would I know? Blah 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 blah. For 50 fucking years.
But eventually, what's going to happen?
My God. Yeah.
What's going to happen, Jimmy, is sooner or later you're going to walk across one of these guys, and they're gonna disrespect you like that.
Right.
And again, most of the guys that we've met are very respectful. They treat everybody with respect. They treat you like a man, like you treat like. Look, man, you remember? Okay, once upon a time when me and Jimmy first got into it, right? Obviously, I don't give a shit. You're in awe of these guys when you first meet them because you grew up watching them.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to share this conversation, right? So, Jimmy, we went to dinner with Greg Valentine. It's right in the beginning. And if anyone didn't know, Jimmy was a very, very big fan of Greg. Huge fan of Greg.
Yes.
And it wasn't like Jimmy was shaking his boots. It wasn't like that. But Jimmy was very quiet.
Oh wow. Oh
right?
wow, it's Greg Valentine.
I don't want to say I don't want to say in awe, but quiet and reserved because it was Greg Valentine.
Right.
And I'm a little bit different, right? Because I'm in an industry where you got to do a lot of talking, right? And I was talking to Greg about everything but wrestling, right? And Jimmy says to me, man, like, you really impressed me. Like, these guys don't shake you. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's like they're men, they're whatever. And then I think you got onto that like right after that very
Pretty
shortly.
quickly.
Yeah, you were like, yeah,
well,
I totally get it. So I lost my train of thought where I really wanted to go with this. Okay. But it was basically like this. They're just men.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they're either if their thing is podcasting or radio shows or playing baseball or playing football, they're entertaining you.
Right.
Right? They're entertaining you.
That's it.
Imagine if Vincent Kennedy McMahon thought about fans the way Bully Ray feels about fans.
Right. Right. Well, I've said it 1,000 times, but my light bulb went off with the Marty incident. That's when I was done. I mean, as far as like, oh, wow, it's this person, or, oh, wow, it's that person. I was already done with that. That's all I needed to see. We got a dose of reality real early on as to what the bad side can be.
Again, Jimmy, I'm not angry over this situation. My point is, if you're going to take this staunch stance and when people call you, if they use some lingo, you straighten them out or they don't know enough, just be a fan, shut the fuck up. You could ask your question and give your opinion and then I'll degrade you. That's all well and good. Then stick to your plan. Right? You should be ripping Denise Salcedo apart to your friend. Hold on. Your friend, Mr. Paint Dry, Tommy Dreamer, who does a show with her every Saturday, and say, you're not a real wrestler, dude. You're a fucking mark. You're a mark because you're doing a show with Denise Salcedo because she's just a fan. Now go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know who else it falls on? Just the fans. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't listen to him because of his attitude towards fans.
Right.
Now, if more people like me did that, and word got back to Dave LaGreca that the ratings have dropped since Bully Ray said that the fans don't count and they should just shut up and listen to him, I'm not watching a show where that's being preached to me. Fuck you. I'm done with your fucking show. But the problem is that we have a lot of mindless marks out there. And you see it every day.
Funny thing, and we'll end this conversation on this point, is a sneaky caller got in, like a Howard Stern caller, and it was the last call, and he's like, how come you blocked me on X, you fat fuck, and hung up the phone? It was the last call of the show. And you know what? Bully Ray tried to play it off, and you know how good I am about this, right?
Yeah.
I spotted the weakness.
Yeah.
He cannot handle people talking shit about him. And we knew this from him attacking us on his show. Right. We knew it. But I wasn't sure, right? I thought maybe it was gimmick, whatever. No, he can't handle it. He can't handle his being talked about in any kind of way but positive.
Right. And he makes money off the internet too. He makes a fortune off it. Who's he kidding? If he really wants us all to shut up and just listen to him preach, then maybe the fans should take it upon themselves to go, no, you shut up and I'll find someone else to listen to.
So I want to read something to you. So look, first and foremost, Jimmy and I are friends, right? And, I'm going to say me. I'm starting to struggle with my age, right? I'm starting to realize I'm on that back lane, and I'm like, things are bothering me that shouldn't really bother me, I guess. But the one good thing about having Jimmy as a friend, I can clearly just give him my feelings and we talk about it, right? It's good. It's called friendship, right? And the one thing that's been bothering me about too is Jimmy and I, I kind of lose track of time. And me and Jimmy have been doing this a pretty long time. And I think we do a pretty solid job. And again, it seems to be a thing that I keep fucking bringing up every show, which has got to stop. But there's a reason I'm bringing it up today. I was like, Jimmy, if anyone doesn't know, right, we had a Jim Beam contract with Intuitive. We did our portion. The owner of Intuitive walked away with over $120,000 of money owed to me and Jimmy. Okay. And the guy had a scrupulous background, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but there was a possibility this was going to happen. But I said to myself, you know what? If he did, it wouldn't bother me because it wasn't any of our money anyway, whatever. But it's bothering me that someone could walk away with $120,000 and Jim Beam, because we did all the work, right? We sent all the ads, we did all the promotion, the Intuitive got all the fucking money, and we had a signed contract. And people are like, Mike, then just sue them. It's not that easy, guys. Suing costs a lot of money. And at the point, I thought to myself, by the time I'm spending all this money, I may not get any money. I don't know if this guy spent it all, because I told you
I know he did.
Well, I ran into a documentary where he was sued by other people, and after the Jim Beam contract, he paid them off. So,
that's nice.
It's like, so anyway.
So are we supposed to root for him to rip off some other poor soul so we can get our money? Is that how he operates?
So the whole thing, Jimmy, was, in my mind, getting that Jim Beam money was flowers for the Monty and the Pharaoh show, right? This is our flowers for what we deserve. And, sometimes it gets very, very upsetting, I mean, look, man, I hold our show in very high regard. I think it has real substance. And the one thing it's better than everybody else, it's entertaining. Okay? There's something to laugh about every fucking day. Yep. So anyway, I'm feeling real bad one day about the show. And I get this message. There's a gentleman out there. His name's Avi Klein. Avi Klein is a writer. He wrote for movies. He was, before WSI, he was the original Don Morocco podcast host.
Okay.
And he has something now called the Now Network. And I've discussed it before. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But this guy is a highly intelligent, motivated man who makes things happen, right? I always love people that make things happen, right? So probably at the time we needed Jimmy, like I was feeling bad. I get this message, so I open it up. And it was coming off another message I had sent to him that I'm so proud of him for what he's accomplished with that new network, right? And we kind of, we don't really ever talk on the phone. I don't talk to him much. But every so often, he's a very kind guy. He always sends messages, and he's a true fan of the show. But he wrote, your production, your conversation skills, your passion. This is both of us, okay? You and your partner. Intellect and ability to get the best out of people. I gain nothing by expressing these sentiments. You need to hear that because you're amazing, and so is your partner. The negative folk out there that think they're edgy by tearing other people down are juvenile. Trust me, you're kicking ass, and I'm in your corner. At that time, Jimmy, I needed it a lot. And when we get these, and we get these messages often, but when it comes by from someone of the level of an Avi Klein, it kind of makes it more real for me. So I'm just sharing that with you. Your thoughts?
Oh, it's wouldn't it be nice if the good outweighed all the negative? It would really be nice. Unfortunately, I don't hear too often about that, but that was a wonderful thing he wrote. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's mostly just usually the negative idiots that get the attention. So it's a breath of fresh air to hear from somebody. I mean, there was a YouTube comment a couple of weeks back when I was wondering about shit that, how important the show was to them and how, it's actually helped them with their life. And I'm like, how is that possible? But if that's, what puts a smile on your face and allows you to escape for an hour or two through enjoying our show, and if it helps you, I'm almost speechless about that. That's a beautiful thing.
And I want everybody in the family to know this. When we say you're our family, we really do mean you're our family. Right? We take everything to heart. We take everything about you guys to heart, everything about us to heart. We don't think we're special. We
Oh no,
we
no.
we enjoy talking to you guys and seeing you guys and your opinions, and whether they're negative or positive, right? It's all good. All right, listen. So let's move on. There's so much more we got to do. This is a long running show.
Hey, Mike,
Uh,
what is RJ saying? I see RJ's face, but I can't make it out due to the
He
shades in my
says,
reading.
Monty, you do a great job, both you and Farrow.
Oh, thank you,
RJ is
RJ.
always very complimentary.
RJ
Um,
rules.
Speaking of Bullet Ray, he had to
Yeah,
say last night, I finally felt something from Julia. You know Julia? Am I saying her name right?
yeah. Go on. What is
All
he
right.
saying?
When I saw her look and I heard her start to talk last night, I felt like she was a character out of Kill Bill. She almost reminded me of the character that could have been part of that group of assassins and killers, maybe the lead role played by Uma Thurman. Thoughts on that comment?
Here's my thoughts. This is where you carry this segment because I'm probably about to eliminate myself as a member of society. I have never seen Kill Bill. How about that?
Any
I've
phrases?
never.
Right
I've
then,
never.
there he is. So it was missed. You're gonna have to repeat yourself.
I've
You froze.
never. I did. That's weird. I didn't see me freeze on this end. That's weird. I have never seen Kill Bill volumes 1 through whatever. I've never
Well, which is
seen them.
crazy. Which is fucking dude.
Right.
You know what? Do you have a DVD player at home?
No, but right now I'm obsessed with another movie I've never seen. I want to see a movie called No Country for Old Men.
Dude, okay. One day we're gonna do a show
Yeah.
of the biggest top 10
Yeah.
baddest guys in movies.
Okay. I'm
Right?
fascinated by this guy in No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
I want to see this movie.
He literally is in my top 3.
Really, because he's really got me intrigued. I want to see this film. Wow,
You
is
know
he
what? I'll
different?
give you my top 3 bad guys of
I'll tell you
all
what.
time.
If before you give me that top 3, he's already striking me. He's so unique. I've never seen anybody quite like him. I can't wait to see this movie because his uniqueness reminds me of what Ledger did with the Joker. But go
Jimmy,
ahead.
I'm going to tell you that No Country
Yeah.
for Old Men is a movie that you can watch over and over again and never get
Right.
tired of it.
Okay.
He's number 3. Number 2 is Vincent, played by Tom Cruise in Collateral.
Never saw it.
Jimmy, I'm sending you DVDs,
Never saw it.
dude. And
Yeah.
number 1 is I don't know what his character's name is, but he's the boyfriend or friend of the family from Boys Don't Cry. You ever
Never
see Boys
seen it.
Don't Cry?
Never
Dude,
seen it.
these are even baddest men or evilest men. They're
Wow.
pure evil. All 3 of them are so pure
Man,
evil.
more evil
It's
than
crazy.
Lord Vader?
Oh my
Wow.
God. Lord Vader's not even in the top 10, dude.
He's a nice guy.
He's compared to these fucking guys there. But anyway, back to the subject. What are you thinking about that
I can't.
wrestler?
I can't think anything about it. I mean, what is Bully grasping at straws because he's in bed with AEW? I don't fucking know. What do you think?
Well, she's in NXT, by the way. Listen, I've only saw her appearance on NXT, and it's like, oh my God, it's Jaliliya, and I'm like,
well, you see what kind of
you know
fucking
what I'm
impact
saying?
she's left
So
on me. I
it's-
think that she's in AEW. So there you go.
All right, how about this? While I was lying in bed with nothing to do, staring at the ceiling,
Okay,
I thought to myself, is Mariah May the poor man's Tiffany Stratton?
Could be, kinda.
That's the answer. Could be, kinda.
Kinda
Man, you are giving me gold right here, bro.
Yeah, well, you can see how engaged I am with other products outside of the fucking WWE. I mean, isn't this the bitch who beat up?
That's that's Tony
This is
Storm's.
the bitch who beats up Tony with the shoe, right?
Yeah.
This is
the bitch. The bitch.
Yeah. This is Tiffany Stratton. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Tony's always trying to copy
Wait a minute.
WWE.
I gotta go back to your comment. Is that the bitch?
Yeah. The bitch that beat up Tony Storm with the shoe, and everybody was like, "Wow, look at all that blood! It's so graphic."
Dude,
Don't worry, in a couple of weeks, we're gonna put
if we ever wanted to be on Sirius Radio, that shit ain't happening with those comments.
Well, if we're on Sirius Radio, let me really spell it out for our audience at home. If we're on Sirius Radio, we're probably both drawing a nice paycheck, and I'm doing that for a living, and I will take the time to suffer through Tony Khan's product and TNA's product, and you know what? While we're at it, NXT's product. See, I'm being fair. And you know what? If I got paid for a living, trust me, guys, I'll free up my schedule. I can tell you all about, what's the name? Gigi? Julia. I can tell you all about Julia and the fact that Bubba Ray is still a mark for every other fucking territory that'll put money in his and LaGreca's pockets. Anyway.
All right, let me ask you this, though.
Yeah,
obviously, you're a big fan of Tiffany Stratton, right? Gorgeous, beautiful.
I like her, but please don't ask me what, please don't ask me what her birthday was. I have a job.
I'm not going to ask you what her birthday. I don't even know.
I'm just a fan. I don't even know why you're fucking asking me anything. I'm just a fan. I don't fucking know anything about wrestling. I don't even know where Gigi wrestles. I don't. What the fuck? I mean, I've been 99% on with everything else, but someone out there is gonna go, he doesn't know what company she works for. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get killed.
Oh, I can't wait. And you know what? I might as well put my response up now. Here, wait. There it is. It's the flying finger. There we go.
Oh my God!
There
All right,
we
but
go.
I really listen. I know you don't watch her much.
Johnny Rods and Jose Estrada. I know who the fuck they are.
What are your thoughts on Mariah May, though? Do you like Mariah May? Or,
no, I don't have any opinion on Mariah May. Just like I barely have an opinion on Tony Khan's I wish I was Vince McMahon shit product. That's what I think. By the way, the attendance at Wembley was down from last year. Close it. Sell it. Here comes the money.
Dave Meltzer. Well, speaking of AEW, Dave Meltzer outlines worst case scenario.
Wait a minute. How's my favorite Jew?
Oh my God.
I'm Jewish. What's he gonna say? Oi.
He's oi.
Oh,
he's gonna say oi.
You called me Jewish. That's it. I've had enough, and I ain't gonna take it no more. Oh, for God's sakes, man! I should sue him for his fucking ratings. Jesus Christ.
The total worst case scenario, this is Meltzer talking about the AEW deal. The total worst case scenario would be that $170 million, including purchasing rights to all pay-per-views. So AEW gets no more pay-per-view revenue. It's baked into the deal. Meltzer said, absolute worst case scenario for revenue. $232 million, best case to $282 million. Yeah. Meltzer soon clarified that figure, stating the number did not include AEW's rumored deal with Fox, which would increase revenue further. While there are some years that when adjusting for inflation, WCW brought in more money, and there's no denying that deal, I don't know why I talk about WCW, but there's no denying the new deal. It would be a major. So anyway, what do you think of this? Do you think, like, why would anyone pay that kind of money for AEW? Can you please explain that to me, Pharaoh?
All right, here's the real worst case scenario is what if the rest of the world found out that Dave Meltzer's opinion is as meaningless to me as it is to everybody else? Then that would be the worst case scenario, because nobody would read him anymore and he couldn't make money anymore. Because after all, he's just a fan. That's all he is. He's a fucking fan. What does he fucking know about wrestling? He wasn't never in the locker room. He never rang a bell. Hell, the timekeeper's got more experience than fucking.
Can I ask you
Meltzer.
something? Like, what happened?
Yeah,
why is his face all like got all these pot marks in it? Like, what's that all about? That's what I'm thinking about, dude. I wasn't even thinking about his comments. I'm like, that guy's face is all cratered. Like, what is that all about?
He probably ate a lot of salty lox when he was a kid. And it gives you pimples because salt gets trapped in the blood vessels, and the next thing you know, you got to pop a mountain or two. You know what
makes me laugh? He was such a Vince McMahon hater, but the dude does so much juice himself. It's like the more hypocritical bullshit, right? It's like, oh yeah, Vince McMahon, he did this. Meanwhile, he's fucking shooting gas through his gills.
Right. By the way, if it was profitable for Bully Ray to fucking do a plug for Meltzer, he'd do one in a second, even though he's just a fan.
He's just a fan.
He's just
I
a
think
fan.
we're gonna keep that.
Yeah, well, that's all he is. He's just a fan. Now, who would buy? Okay, here's the deal. Like, as far as the money goes, like you were asking me, who the fuck would pay for this for AEW? Blah blah blah. Look, it's the old saying, and it's true. When a vacuum is created, somebody must fill the vacuum. And I did think to myself when they're going to Netflix. I was like, so what happens with Fox? And if you're the right investor, Tony Khan, no. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Shane McMahon. going on Fox, purchasing AEW. Guess what? That's interesting. Would it succeed or fail? I have no fucking idea.
But wait a minute,
can
you're
I
right.
see
It
it
does
under the
make
right
sense.
hands? Under the
Makes
right
sense.
hands. Under the right hands, filling that vacuum. Fox is a big vacuum. Filling that vacuum, if you can, and if you have the right fucking backing, and you know what you're doing. Now, Tony Khan, not so confident about that. But Shane McMahon, I'm a little more confident about that. And if Vince is like
By the way,
secretly whispering the secrets in his ear, yeah, I'm pretty confident about that.
Gerard wrote in. He said the reason they're getting AEW is because they lost the NBA. I mean, what are you just spending money just to spend money? By the way, I had a long talk with Gerard over the weekend. He called me. We were talking about all the situations with the ring boys and stuff like that. He came off pretty smart, Jimmy. He did okay with me on the phone.
All right, so he's not calling you at 3 a.m. in the morning, though, or anything?
No, he'll just texts me at 3 a.m. in the morning. But he was offended about my, I don't know if you caught it last week,
yeah.
my licking toes comment. He didn't like that. So, Gerard, like I said on the phone, I apologize. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings on that. I was just kidding around.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I don't want to hurt people's feelings, dude. You know.
I don't want to lick anybody's toes. Move on.
All right, something I know which is very serious to you, okay?
Okay.
Jey Uso's getting in a match with Braun Strowman now.
This is very serious to me?
This is very serious to you.
Okay, go ahead.
And on Raw, Jey kind of made Braun look a little, he speared Braun, and he made Braun look weak. You've been making Braun this beast this whole time.
Well, idealistically,
here's a scenario that I want to ask you about. I need your fan expertise here.
Uh-oh.
You're making Braun Breaker into this beast, and you also have probably one of the most popular wrestlers on your roster.
No, you have one of the most popular entrances on the roster. But go ahead.
Fair enough. Who's lost every title match, and if he loses this one, when does he become not believable at this point? Has the WWE unfortunately put themselves in a corner they should not have put themselves in?
Okay. Interesting. I was almost ready to use the LA Knight Logan Paul thing, but I feel like it's way too soon to take the belt off of Braun Breaker. But they may. All for the popularity of that intro. I don't give a crap what anybody else says. Listen, I know Jey Uso is a lifelong wrestler. I know he comes from where he comes from. Okay. But as far as Jey Uso, the promo guy, and Jey Uso, the in-ring wrestler, outside of the fact that everybody loves to do this, that's what's got him over right now, is everybody doing this. Okay. I don't look at him as a world champion. I don't look at him as a main eventer. I don't care if he calls himself main event Jey Uso. If I'm going to a card and he's in the main event, I'm probably looking at the other 2 or 3 matches underneath him because they're probably better. I'd rather see McIntyre and Punk any day than anything that features Jey Uso. This is just my opinion. If you don't like it, you're entitled to yours. Have fun with it. Jey Uso does absolutely fucking nothing for me. All right? There's no reason to. And from what I understand, a lot of people didn't tune in at the end when Breaker gets his heat back. It's just like, what are you doing? Why do you even have Braun Breaker in this program unless you intend on Braun Breaker breaking?
But that's my point to you. Did they make a mistake going this route? Because to me, it doesn't make sense. If Jey loses, that's it. He's done. And if Braun loses, you destroyed Braun. This is a mistake.
If I agree that this booking is a mistake for one way or the other, someone here is going to lose, not just the match. I get it. All right. But here's what I would say to them passionately behind the scenes if I could. You got to let Breaker continue. If Breaker beats Uso, Breaker's unbreakable eyes, Braun Breaker continues to grow. If you fucking have Jey Uso lose to him, just put him back with Jimmy and get him involved with Roman. And no, Jimmy will not lose any money or lose any stardom or lose anything. He'll be back with Roman and Jimmy. And it will be over like Rover, and you win both ways. You know, this Jey Uso, the main event guy, I'm glad they're selling the shirts and everybody likes to go like this, but there's not enough substance there. We pick on Cody for a predictable reign, but as far as substance goes, Jey Uso is not Cody Rhodes. It's not even fucking close. So yeah, he's got a great intro. Fans are all on board with him, blah, blah, blah. LA Knight had a great intro. Is he world champion? No, he's not. Because at the end of the day, there's only so far they intend to push him. But if they intend to push main event Jey Uso further than LA Knight, I got an issue with that. I've been watching Jey Uso as a tag team specialist for almost 20 fucking years. You are not going to undo that with me just because people like to go like this. That's not happening for me. I'm not that simple. Doesn't work that way for me.
You like how we pivot on this show? Or like
I also like, I'll tell you what I really like.
Scandals to wrestling.
Yeah, well, what I do like that. That's what separates us from the fucking yawn fests, okay? But what I really liked was when Breaker said, and this has got to get cleared up because this is bothering me, all right? Everybody who's crying for him to be called a Steiner, all right? It's his name. He came up with it. He didn't, I told Uso that during the promo. I don't need to ride my family's coattails like you do. I'm Braun fucking Breaker, and I'm gonna break you. I happen to like the name Braun Breaker. If I didn't know he was a Steiner, I'd have zero. I mean, I do have a little bit like, oh, he should have called it Why? Why? Would Bray Wyatt have been good as another Mulligan? The answer is no. Barry Windham changed his name to not do that. Cody Rhodes finally.
This is why when people sit there. When people sit there and bitch about Vince McMahon, this just proves it. He came up with the Braun Breaker name. Everybody was all bent out of shape. He changed Walter to Gunther. That everybody was having a spaz out.
Mike, what I'm telling you is that Steiner himself came up with the Braun Breaker name. It was different.
No, but I get it. But
you know.
But what I'm trying to say to you is this. Everybody was in an uproar. And then in the end, these guys are all major stars.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let me ask you this.
Sometimes it
Let's
works.
just go back in history.
Randy, you know.
But let me ask you this. Go back in history. Imagine when Gunther finally came up to the roster and they kept his name as Walter.
Right. You couldn't. No, it's not the same.
It would not have worked.
But that's what you're missing, though. And I've said it 1,000 times. When I reacted the way I did when they first changed his name, was it because Walter was a UK ass kicker. He was not a German, bro. I had no clue what Vince was doing with that, and it was not readily apparent right away. If it had been apparent right away, I would have said, okay, give it time. He didn't just change the name. He changed the character. That's different. Walter could never be Gunther because they're two different presentations. They're totally different. Walter.
All right, so let me ask you this, though. If they would have brought Walter up. No, but if they would have brought Walter up as Walter.
Right.
Would have it been as successful? Keep the character, right? The Walter character. Would he have been this long reigning intercontinental? No. I don't believe it. It just would not have been.
He wouldn't have. And I've said that 1,000 times, that Vince was a genius when it came to the Gunther thing, because Vince had thought it out and knew what he was going to do with Gunther. And he did it right. He did it right. He booked him like flawlessly, pretty much, until we were in an uproar because Sami Zayn beat him. But thank God he got that back. You know, he got that win back, which he needed to. But it's completely different character. I mean,
but you know what? That's why I love the WWE's writing, because even when you're mad about it, they come back and they prove, like, you go, "Oh, I was wrong. I'm stupid. I should have realized that."
Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. They will never be right about Stardust, ever. They will never be right about that. That was shit. Okay, there are certain times where Vince McMahon does make a mistake.
Well, everybody makes mistakes.
Exactly.
Let's move on to Bad Blood 2020.
Wait a minute. I love how you do that. You know, like it's just like, well, everybody makes mistakes. All right, let's move on to. You're hilarious. Oh my God. Go on, move on.
Bad Blood 2024. So before we talk about those matches, what was your favorite I'm laughing because me and Jimmy were talking about this earlier. What was your favorite Bad Blood match?
I started laughing when I saw it on the script. I said to him, what the fuck? Like, Bad Blood is SummerSlam or WrestleMania? I don't fucking know. And I had to go back, and there was only... Did you know there was only 3 previous Bad Bloods, 97, 2003, and 2004? I may not know that Gigi wrestles over in New Japan. She doesn't. She wrestles in NXT. You know? but I know that now. I think it's pretty obvious what the greatest match is of all time because I looked at some of the greatest matches from the Three Bad Bloods, and it's got to be when Kane debuted. It's got to be back at the first one in '97
Absolutely.
between Taker and Shaw. It's got to be.
Great
What
match.
else could
Great
what else
match.
could top that? You had a legendary debut and a whole bunch of other things going on there. So yeah, that would be the one. That's the one.
What was Undertaker Mankind? What was that? What was that pay-per-view? Do you remember?
Mankind was a referee for that. Who the hell was Undertaker?
No, the one with Undertaker in a cage when he throws him off the cage. What was that? What was that pay-per-view? Do you remember? I can't remember what pay-per-view that was.
Christ. Oh, fuck. I should know this like immediately off the top of my head. It was not Hell in a Cell. It was something else.
Some other pay-per-view. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, steel cage. What are you thinking? By the way, Punk showed his mic skills on Monday night. He was incredible. He sold me. He looked like a man ready to fight.
Right. Well, Punk is a great promo guy, period. These guys have had a tremendous program, one way or the other. And Drew McIntyre is more elevated than ever, correct?
Oh, unbelievable, dude.
You see what CM Punk can do for people. I mean, McIntyre had already established, he's a star, he's a champion material, main event material, but this is McIntyre's greatest work.
It is so funny, dude. These cards now have like 3 or 5 matches, like 5 matches now. It's like these storylines are so good that they got to give them all this time for these matches. Right. Wrestling has changed in a way, Jimmy. It's like, wow.
It has. I kind of like these 5-match pay-per-views, though, don't you?
Oh, I do too.
I think
get a chance to watch them.
I think it's a little less of the. I hated when we were getting up to 4.5, 5 hours for a goddamn show with like a million matches and half of them you don't care.
Yeah, which was shit. No, yeah, they're all matches you care about. Okay, what are you thinking about them teaming Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu?
Cool, I like it. I thought that was great.
You like the teaming of Rhodes and Reigns?
Tell me why.
I
loved the promo. I just watched it with Karen the other day. The promo when they're signing the contracts and everything, and then Cody puts his hand out to shake Roman's hand, and Roman's like, "I can't believe I'm fucking doing this." I thought it was great.
Do you feel a Cody Rhodes turn here?
No.
How about a Roman turn?
Not yet. No way. A lot of things. Eventually, sure, Roman will revert back to being what Roman was when he was on top of everything. Sure, but for a little while, we're gonna explore this. It's working. Roman as a face. That, you know what? This all goes back to thanks to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Good guys can act like bad guys and be loved. Roman hasn't done anything to become Cody Rhodes, Bob Backlund, or any other form of sliced bread. But he's beloved right now because of circumstances. The people that they hate more than they ever hated Roman. So obviously, this bloodline version they fucking hate, and they love what Roman is back to what they perceive to do and overthrow them. Roman and Cody could not be more different. And together, they make a very interesting pairing. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I like it. Do I think eventually it will end up with Roman smashing Cody over the head with something or something? Sure, but not yet. There's some things we got to do first, I'm assuming.
I'm anticipating a Cody Rhodes heel change. But
why?
Not
Why?
now. I'm talking later down the road. I mean,
it's going to be much later.
Well, I don't think much later. I think by Royal Rumble, The Rock will win that title back leading into WrestleMania.
Listen, if history repeats itself and everything is moved aside strictly for a Rock returning, it's not going to lead to good things in real life. I'm talking about in the locker room. Do I disagree with Roman Rock being like the sexiest thing in the world in a WrestleMania main event? No, I do not. But if it's not handled correctly behind the scenes, and that's their intention, it could cause problems all over again, dude. Do not repeat history. All right. When Cena came in, the reason why we have AEW today is because when Cena and The Rock just waltzed back in, and guys like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan were pushed to the back. Look what happened. All right. Don't tempt fate too much. Again,
well, you're talking like the Cena Rock thing was a mistake. That was
No,
huge money.
financially, it was a victory. I've got all of that, but do you realize the headache that it caused for years and years and years? Now, you may not consider AEW a headache. You may not consider another company being able to get on a major channel and sell out, or at least come close to packing Wembley. You may not see that as a potential headache. I do. Was it really worth it? Was it really worth it to make Cody Rhodes Stardust? No, it wasn't worth it. It was
Wait a
stupid.
minute. In the end result, dude, it was worth it because think
because
about it. If
Cody
CM
had to
Punk
go his
doesn't,
own way.
well, but hear me out on this. If CM Punk doesn't flip out and leave the WWE,
there's no
now he's
nothing
officially around for 20-something years.
Right.
What's happening now? It's by the way, Daniel Price says if they would ever do Rock Reigns match, it would be for the sole purpose of Reigns going over. No, it'll end up being for the World Heavyweight title because he's going to take it off of Cody, and that's how you're going to put it back on Roman. That's my prediction. Let's move on to Liv and Rhea.
Yeah.
Does Rhea win her title back?
Good. I mean, if I'm pressed, I'm going to say yeah. I think she is.
If she does, then doesn't that end this storyline?
I don't know. It all depends on what direction they want to go in if Rhea does win it.
How do you know? You've got the pencil. Sorry, bully. I'm saying pencil. Are you giving Rhea the belt back?
How do you know that Dominic doesn't turn around and screw Liv right over? We don't know. You know?
Dude, it's such a hot storyline. You just can't end it, though.
All right. Well, there's always going to be a rematch. Look, every time everything seems cut and dry, we know it's not.
No, it's no. You know it's
not. You know, but in a match like this, it sounds like there's got to be a definitive winner. Is Liv? If Liv wins, it's because she cheated, one way or the other. You know what I mean? It's tough to say, but I mean, it smells like Rhea's going to take the title back.
I think your smell is right, dude. I think Rhea's taking that title back. Damian Priest up against Finn Balor.
Well, you know what? It bothers me. The whole Priest thing bothers me. On the surface, Finn Balor should beat this fucking guy. I don't care if he's bigger. I don't give a fuck. All right? He's not Finn Balor. Get the fuck out of here. But you know what? They probably have Priest win. You know? I mean, what does it benefit?
You're not a Priest. You're not a Priest guy, huh?
Because Priest is serviceable. He's okay. And I don't mean John Cena serviceable either. I don't. He doesn't have like this oh my god aura or this oh my god skill set or anything. He's a big dude. He talks okay. I'm not crazy about him. I think that Finn Balor is a restless wrestler, and he's, god damn it, how many times has he put somebody else over to make somebody else's career better because they pinned him? You know, I mean, Balor's a cut below Kevin Owens. You know, it's just like fucking let Balor win.
Balor's done a good. He's done a good job. Dude.
Balor's been a great hand for years.
He has been. Listen, off of last week, we spoke about the head of the locker room. Not the head of the table, head of the locker room, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. We had a great conversation. So we've decided to do head-to-head.
Hey, Mike, I hate to cut you off like that, but how the Jets doing?
I have no idea. Hold on a second. Let me look.
Come on, bro.
I was trying not to look.
We are loyal to a T. I mean, our horrible football team is playing. And I just got to know if it's good or not. You know, I'd be surprised if you told me they're winning. That'd be nice. It would be what they should be doing. But are the Jets actually doing what they're supposed to?
They're up 14-0, bro.
Nice, baby.
We got to get through this show, bro. We've got to get through this show. It's in the second quarter. I'm talking. Oh,
all
shit.
Right.
Now
Thank you very much for joining us. Monty and the Pharaoh. We're off to see the Jets.
Come on. All right. So we decided to do head-to-head. Jimmy, I would like you to please explain the rules of head-to-head. Okay.
Listen, I would, but I'm just a fan, so I'm not sure that I have the authority to do this. Okay, folks, we do head-to-head, and I don't have it here on the script, so I'm going to try to pull from my memory whatever's left of it. There are 5 categories where we take 2 of the wrestlers, could be past, could be present, could be whatever. And we put them up against each other head-to-head in 5 categories, and whoever wins, wins. Category number 1, well, Mike put up mat skills, so I guess mat skills. Do you grapple or am I reaching for a snapple? Okay, so mat skills, can you go? Mike skills, yada, 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 yada. Can you talk the talk, walk the walk, and be the bullshit of the bullshitter? How are you on that mic? What is your mic skills? Okay, next category. He didn't flash it up. There it is. Back of the baseball card. That's pretty self-explanatory. Are you Barry Bonds with a needle in your arm? Or are you Mario Mendoza line? What are you? You good? You bad? You indifferent? There you go. Up. What was that? What was that?
That was a mistake.
That
And
was
then
a
you have
mistake. That's funny because
then you
it
have
looked
the
like a
it
guy with a
factor.
needle. He looked like a guy with a needle in his arm.
Then
Go ahead.
you have the it factor.
All right,
Right?
you got the it factor. You know, do you do it? Like, do I like when I see you on the tube? Am I engaged or am I reaching for the TP for my bunghole? All right, there you go.
All
A
right.
little too
So our
descriptive,
first
but that's
matchup,
that.
this was
Wait a
Farrell.
minute. Wait a minute. Then there's
Good.
the overall impact on the industry.
Oh, that's right. You're right. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that one. Yeah, like, are you a Hogan or are you not Hogan's hero? Okay, so there you go. There's the 5 categories for head-to-head. Hit it, Mike.
I'm going to put up Jimmy came up with the head-to-head this time, and I love his lineup. So the first matchup, we have 2 head-to-heads. The first matchup is superstar Billy Graham
Yeah.
against our tribal chief, Roman Reigns.
Okay, now before we get to the categories, the reason why I sent these to Mike, I sent a couple of head-to-heads to Mike. I believe, for whatever that's worth, being just a fan, I believe that superstar Billy Graham and Roman Reigns are the 2 greatest heels that we've seen in the last heel champions of the WWE that we've seen in the last 40 plus years. Okay, so Graham, you can go all the way through because Graham had, for his time, a very impressive title run. Bad guys don't hold the belt for 10 months up in New York, Mike, in the 70s. And then you got Roman Reigns, obviously the greatest heel run we've seen in modern day. So that's the reason we have these things. What's category number 1, Mike?
By the way, that movie I told you about with the girl having sex while the husband, Jennifer Tilly's the girl's name. Thank you there, Gerard.
All right.
Okay, dude. So want to open up? You want to open up with the difference between superstar Billy Graham and Roman Reigns.
Yep.
We're going to go with Mike Skills first, Jimmy. Your
Mike
opinion.
Skills, well, I give him that one to Billy. Billy Graham was great on the microphone. So many people patted themselves after him as the years went on. Prototype for a lot of things. Roman has become quite good, though. Where Roman first started to where Roman is today, Roman is really good now. Really, really good. But I have to give it to Graham. He was the king.
Graham, WWE Graham
Yes.
is one of the greatest talkers of all time.
Absolutely.
Do I say this is a blowout? You would think it was a blowout, but
Nope.
It's not the blowout. No. It's not tight, but it's close.
Well,
it's not. It's in the same ballpark. But yes, Billy Graham, we both agree, is the guy on the mic end.
Yeah.
Next, Matt Skills, Jimmy.
Matt Skills. Well, neither one of them are technically proficient, but that's just ridiculous. Roman has definitely got the Matt Skills over Billy Graham. That would be just.
Well, let me ask you something, man. Like,
yeah.
Again, I wasn't watching wrestling when Billy was a champion. I came in afterwards, but I got to tell you, when I put on old Billy, WWE Billy Graham, you see, there's a big difference for me. The WWE Billy Graham is so much better than the Georgia Championship Wrestling Billy Graham, the AWA Billy Graham.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Billy Graham WWE matches.
Well, you should. He was a great storyteller in the ring. It was his ability to tell a story in the ring. Billy Graham in WWF was one of the greatest storytellers ever. No one could sell pain like Billy Graham. I mean, a simple punch from his opponent caused 20,000 people to explode in glee because they hated Billy Graham was being punched in the face. And he sold it like that. He was a great storyteller. But if you're talking about overall moves, and again, Roman Reigns is not Bret Hart, but Roman Reigns has much more moves in his arsenal than Billy Graham ever did. Different era, but I still have to give it to Roman.
I agree with you 1-to-1, Billy Graham and Roman Reigns. Back of the baseball card.
That's Roman. That's not really that close, especially in this day and age with all the WrestleManias he main evented and his legendary run as the Universal Champion. That's not close. It's very impressive what Billy did, though, because nobody had ever done what Billy did. Being a heel and actually holding the belt for almost a year. I believe that while he was champion, Junior was looking at him and probably thinking to himself, this is what I want wrestling to be more like. And that will factor in as
Right.
we go on with a few more of these categories. But the back of the baseball
So
card
in
belongs
my
to Roman.
mind here, Jimmy, I would say back of the baseball card should have been a blowout. But with everything Roman has done,
Yeah.
Billy Graham's a lot closer. It's in the ballpark. When we talked about Mike skills, it's in the ballpark. Billy
Yeah.
Graham's what was it? Was it over 1 year tenure as WWF champion?
He didn't get to a year. He got to about 10 months.
So 10 months champion was one of the better 10 months that championship had ever
And
had.
it had never happened. It had never happened in Vince's company. Ivan Koloff had the belt for what, 9 days or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks. And Stan Stasiak had it for 9 days or whatever it was. Heel champions didn't do that back then. So Graham
Okay.
was definitely a pioneer in a lot of ways.
So we got Roman 2-1, the
Yeah.
it factor.
All right,
This is a
here's
tough
where
one. This is a tough one.
Here's where we're probably going to differ. As far as it factor, late 70s Billy Graham was the prototype for Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and all the other showmanship that we see in this business. Roman Reigns, as he's been presented in the last 4 years especially, is top shelf penthouse stuff. I will never say it's not. It is. But if I'm taking a look at just the two of them, not a bloodline standing behind Roman, just Roman Reigns standing there and a prime superstar Graham standing there, it factor? Superstar Graham wins. And it's just not close. Because let me put it this way. What kind of it factor influence has Roman Reigns given? Now, he's been around for 10 years now in the WWE. What kind of influence has he garnered? Has he produced the next Hulk Hogan for Roman Reigns' prototype? No. Billy Graham, it factor, led to Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Jesse the Body Ventura, and I could go on and on and on. All right. So as far as presentation, holy shit, aura, they both step into the room in their prime. I'm pointing at Graham.
So okay, so that's really great stuff, Jimmy, and it's very hard to argue. When you look at Billy Graham, you go, "Holy shit, this guy is a beast," right? And he does have the it factor. I mean, arms, chest, everything else.
He does.
Here's the thing, Jimmy.
Okay.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
The it factor, especially in his tenure as champion.
Yeah.
Has been undeniable.
The presence on the card as the way it was written and presented, yes. The impact of his character on screen, yes. But we're talking about aura. We're just talking about two guys standing next to each other in the primes of their career and what kind of magnetism they're giving off. I will never, ever say that Roman Reigns gives off more magnetism, aura, than Superstar Graham.
We're looking at it two different ways, right?
We are.
It factor.
That's fine.
It factor. This guy's got it. They both got it. But when Roman came out for his matches, they felt big time.
Right.
Now, it's hard for me to make that statement about Graham because I wasn't there at the time.
Right.
And I wasn't there.
Right.
But I was there for Hogan. And I was a huge Hogan fan.
Right.
I was there for Backlund. I was there for Bret Hart. I was there for Shawn Michaels. I was there for them all.
Mm-hmm.
No champion in the history of WWE made championship matches feel more big time than a Roman Reigns' match.
Right, but
at 50 cents. And to me, that is it factor.
Right. Well, to me, that's the back of the baseball card.
The back of the baseball card is what you've done there.
Right? That's right. And what he did in those 4 years as champion was legendary. That's why he ran away to me with the back of the baseball card.
So let's call it like this. 2-2 Graham on your end. I'm going 3-1 with Roman.
Okay.
The final one, right? We've got overall influence on the industry. This is another very tricky one.
Not for me.
Right. So I want you to go, and then because obviously we're on different ends here.
Yeah, we're on different ends. The overall impact on the industry. Okay, the industry, Roman Reigns is a product of the change in the industry and a necessary component in the change in the industry. Billy Graham, like I said, what is your vapor trail? Okay, when your vapor trail is Hogan, Flair, Ventura, showmanship that we became used to. He was a show before the show became the main component in the E in entertainment. Okay, Roman Reigns' legacy is still being written. It's very hard to answer what kind of influence Roman Reigns' work as a wrestler will have on this industry. But I can tell you, without Graham, no Hogan. No Hogan, no WrestleMania, okay? No Flair, no NWA the way they were remembered, all right? No Ventura, okay, maybe he's not in Predator. I don't know. But, maybe he's not the governor of Minnesota. How about that, okay? Graham's vapor trail is huge, all right? Roman's vapor trail is still being written. So at this moment in time, in the year 2024, the one who's had the bigger impact on the business as a whole due to who he influenced, what became of wrestling after him, it's not his fault that he was the Beatle equivalent to Hulkamania before it. It's not. This is when he lived. This is when he was in his prime. You can't change it, all right? The influence factor is insane. So as far as I'm concerned, at this given moment in time, Billy Graham wins this. To be determined 10, 15 years from now regarding Roman.
So I'll respond
with
this. Roman Reigns changed the industry.
In
He
what way?
was the champion during COVID, during the time where we had no fans.
No, wait a minute. McIntyre wasn't got hosed for it.
No. Roman Reigns was the champion during COVID. Okay. He changed the industry. He rewrote how wrestling was being told. He was telling a different story. He was able to change the way wrestling has been presented to us that lives today. Remember something.
He's the top of the card and a byproduct of the writers and how they wanted to present it.
Superstar Graham never translated outside the WWE. People can give bullshit and go, oh, he sold out. No, he was terrible in the AWA.
I got all of that. That's not what I'm basing this
but
off
again,
of. And Roman has never wrestled in another company either. So he's always been a WWE guy from day one. So I don't even know how that applies.
But Jimmy,
I don't see it.
He has created probably the greatest storyline in wrestling history.
Right. He didn't create that. It was written for him. You're making it out like he penned it. He didn't pen it.
But okay,
come on, stop.
You're talking about because superstar Billy Graham was juiced to the gills when no one else was juiced to the gills.
Well, if you want to simplify the whole package with just he was juiced to the gills, then what am I supposed to say to that? Because what I say is Farrell thinks that Billy Graham wins this 3-2, and Mike thinks that Roman Reigns beat the crap out of him and wins 4-1.
But you got to look at it this way, dude. The guy, you can't undersell what Roman has done for the industry and how he's influenced the industry.
I'm not underselling it, but I'll tell you what. As far as importance factor, there's other guys that have had a hand in that. The product we're looking at today.
Of course, but it's almost it's unfair to the fact that one started. It's two different ways you could look at it. One started early, so originally, of course, they're going to be the spark, right? They're going to be. So they started earlier. But on the other hand, if Superstar Graham was wrestling now, who knows what he could have done for the industry, right?
Right.
But they're in two different eras.
Roman could have been part of the Samoan tag team and done absolutely nothing back in 1978. We don't know.
Could have been. You could have been. Or Superstar Graham could have been in the mix of the million of bodybuilders that were in wrestling in the 90s, right? So, but again, you make valid points about him being the spark for a lot of wrestlers without a doubt.
That's the impact and influence on the business.
What about Roman's influence on today's generation? Everybody wants to be the next Roman Reigns. They don't want to be the next Cody Rhodes.
And that's why I said today in 2024, right now, currently, the winner is Graham because that is yet to be seen. We have to see who comes out of this and is the next Roman Reigns if there is such a thing.
Roman has a larger book of business than Superstar Graham.
Well, that's
he has a larger book of business. He was in maybe one of the. He was in one of the greatest factions of all time. But wait a minute. He was in one of the greatest factions of all time.
That's back of the baseball card. We're back to back of the baseball card.
You got to let me finish. He changed the industry during COVID. Right? You got to remember that.
I don't give him full credit for being the guy that saved the company from COVID. This is the first I'm hearing of that. So to me, no. Well, I let you talk. You spoke it out, and I still don't see it. So it is
Well,
what it is.
again, then we got to have. This is one of the things I say. Roman blows out Superstar Graham. You got Superstar Graham win 3-2. I mean, overall influence on the industry. Roman Reigns has made more money for wrestling than any wrestler has ever had in their entire life.
We didn't ask who was richer. We asked who had more impact.
But that's
on
overall
the
influence on the industry. You've influenced the industry.
It's not that simple for me, but
all right, good enough. All right. Well, we got another barn burner because now we've got you picked some good ones there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I did this on purpose. Go ahead.
Cody Rhodes will be facing Bob Backlund.
The two greatest face champions I can remember. I mean, for Cody, I haven't seen a face champion like this since Bob, in my opinion.
You keep saying it, and let's see what we got. All right. What do you open it up with, Bob?
You want to do Mike skills?
Sure.
Cody. It's not even close.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, God.
Listen, I go with Cody, too, but it's not that easy because you're looking at Bob Backlund, the champion. What about Mr. Backlund? There is something there.
Yeah,
let's not discredit Bob as Mr. Backlund.
There's Mr. Backlund. Yes, there is. But, I mean, Mr. Backlund versus Cody Rhodes' promos over the last 7 years? No.
Again,
no.
It's not like Cody, that's it. Remember something. Cody, AEW, refining his skills. Mr. Backlund, I'll give it to Cody. But again, I'll go back to the last part. You go, someone wrote that for Roman. Well, someone's writing Cody's lines too, right?
I don't think
Backlund
Cody
didn't have his lines written for him.
This is where I disagree. I don't think that Cody is being spoon-fed one line after another, nor do I think CM Punk is.
But Roman is. But Roman is.
Not necessarily. I don't know.
That's what you said.
Level.
You said that just on the last before.
No,
you said
what I
he's
said
being
was,
fed a
is that
storyline.
What I said is that Roman has benefited from great booking and storylines being written patiently and correctly for him. I didn't say anything about whether or not Roman Reigns is being force-fed lines. And once upon a time he was, and we had suffering succotash. So do I think that he has the right to and is applying his own talk sometimes? Yeah, I do. And I don't think any one of those three are being spoon-fed.
Well,
lines.
it's clear that some of the more tenured guys aren't being fed lines. Or they're giving more of like, this is what you need to speak about. Hit it on the head. Make sure you hit these key points, that type of thing. But yeah, no, I agree with you. There's no doubt that Cody is over Bob as Mike skills. I just don't think it was like, Cody, that's it. Because Mr. Backlund was enjoyable on the mic.
Mr. Backlund was very irritating. I guess that was his job.
Yeah.
But Mr. Backlund was okay. He was good. It was much
fun.
Better than what we saw at Bob.
It was Mr. Backlund.
It was okay,
it was
but
good.
It wasn't what Cody did with the last two programs.
Wait, Jimmy, let me ask you something. Are you hanging on every one of Cody's fucking words?
No.
What do you want to talk about? I mean,
but I never ever hung on anything Backlund ever said, even as Mr. Backlund, anything. So,
listen again. I agree with you. I just don't think it's like it's such a cut and dry thing. Like you can make a case that Mr. Backlund was pretty good. But anyway, okay, let's go. Matt Skills.
Roman good, Superstar bad.
Cody
bad, Bob Backlund good.
Cody, Bob Backlund, Matt Skills.
Bob, not even close.
Why? Why is that not even close? Because he was a real wrestler?
Because of a couple of different reasons. Bob Backlund was the best, true or false, at the time, for 6 years or so, was the best technical wrestler in the company, period. He was. And on top of it, if it got real, he'd pin you too. Yes, there's always that involved too. Yes, there is.
So
okay. But as far as Matt skills, I'm going with Bob Backlund.
I agree with you, but I don't want to undersell how good Cody Rhodes is in the ring. He's very good.
He's excellent. He's very fluid. He's excellent.
Great timing.
Excellent in-ring worker.
I would almost fairly say to you, Jimmy, that Cody's timing is better than Bob's. Bob was a better wrestler. Bob was more realistic.
Well, understand that everything today is much more choreographed. Okay,
absolutely.
It's not. And Bob Backlund was not working with some of the guys that Cody works with, whether it's Rollins, whether it's Owens. Bob Backlund had to deal with Killer Khan.
That's the best point of the whole thing. Bob had to
with
work
Angelo Mosca. Angelo Mosca's job was to punch and kick you.
That's where you're right. The talent
and let me tell you something else
different.
too. people may not understand this, but the simple thing at the beginning of the fucking program back in the day on Channel 9, when Backlund did the roll-up in the bridge, shit like that, people were not doing that on a regular basis.
Sure.
Backlund was the specialist. He was a wrestler's wrestler.
Agreed.
And Cody today is the wrestler's wrestler. But I just have more respect for the old school. And I think that Bob Backlund was better on the mat than Cody. Sue me. You know?
No, dude, I'm not, again, like I'm saying, you're without a doubt, you're right. It's just not so far. The gap is not that big. It's not like, oh shit, this is a blowout. Like, that's all I'm trying to say.
No, it's not. Listen, to my credit, Graham and Reigns wasn't a blowout. All right?
No,
it's not.
Absolutely not. And
it's
look,
not. And listen, and you know that we've always been consistent with our love for Hogan. Look, if without Hogan doing what he did and how the whole business changed, and considering without Graham, there's no Hogan, what are we even debating about? But I get it. You know, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I said, years from now, if someone comes up through the pipeline that is clearly a Roman Reigns type and clearly was like, you know, and extends it and becomes like as big as Stone Cold Steve Austin, the way Hogan became the Austin of his genre, then yeah. But up until this point, I have not seen that yet. And I still think that time has to take care of that last great debate we were having, which was a great debate, which is why everybody tunes in anyway, to see us go at it like this. But it's just true.
well, I got to tell you, we've had many head-to-heads where it's not been. This is a heated. This is two heated head-to-heads. We've not really had that many heated ones. I think Warrior Sting was the last one I remember. But these are heated, and you know what?
Yeah.
I certainly respect and understand your opinion. I just don't necessarily agree with it.
I got you.
What do we got after this? We got Matt Skills, Mike Skills, back of the baseball card. Tough one here, bro. If you say what you said to me in the car, I'm ready. So let's do this.
Well, you know, it's interesting too, because I've been thinking about that, because we did have this conversation earlier today, and I have to ask myself seriously, back of the baseball card. Okay, well, here it comes, and you will be probably a little disappointed with me, but I really thought about it because, you know, I process everything. Look, we don't always have to agree, but I take your opinion seriously.
And same here.
So I'm fucking thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this to Bob fucking Backlund. At this day and time, the same reason that I gave it to Graham on this day and time compared to Reigns' future impact of what he's going to do. All right? You're not going to be able to convince me. The more I think about it, and I give you credit for this, the more I think about it, you're not going to be able to convince me that to this point in time, that Cody Rhodes has surpassed the greatest face champion outside of Bruno in the history of this company, outside of Bruno, because Bruno is the greatest face ever in this company. That's all there is to it. All right? That for 6 years, Bob Backlund could go anywhere from here to the Omni, to Japan, wrestle Inoki, and sell out no matter where the fuck this man went as the ultimate face, the ultimate athlete. Everything back then was given to us as real, and you couldn't get more real than an amateur champion using professional wrestling, amateur type holds to hold that belt as long as he did. And when he walked into an arena, and especially a televised match, you and I would shit our pants because the champion is here.
Agreed.
6 fucking years of that. Now, to use your argument, hey, wrestling's bigger than it's ever been. All that fucking money. Cody's just main evented 2 WrestleManias. Well, here's the deal. The back of the baseball card is about what you've won, what you've done. Cody has not been champion of the WWF, WWF, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for 6 years, okay? He took him 2 WrestleManias to win the title. He won the title like he should have. He did. He deserved it. He's a great, great, great face champion. When I'm mentioning him along in the likes of Backlund, I have nothing but respect for Cody Rhodes, all right? But on this day, in this fucking year, right now, Cody Rhodes has not, in my mind, surpassed the guy who sold out up and down the East Coast, who was able to go to the Omni and sell out when he was fighting Race, whether he was fighting Flair, to go up to the AWA and sell out, whether he was fighting Bockwinkel, to go fighting over in Japan with Inoki. No, you're not there yet. You're not there yet. I'm not giving you the back of the baseball card yet. Because right now it says that Bob Backlund was champion of the biggest goddamn fucking, you can say what you want, but there was a reason why at the end of the day, WWF came out on top. All right. There was a reason why Bruno Sammartino is the living legend. Look, all three old promotions were fucking fantastic, okay? But Bob Backlund was doing it up in New York. And the New York haters don't understand this. Well, I'm sorry. You know? What the? What the fuck?
I was doing the old. I was doing the old.
Buttons? Why
No,
I
was doing the old like you were like doing an Oscar. I was trying to find like Oscar music, like the stuff to come. I'm sorry. I thought it was gonna be funny.
See, that's what you get for goofing around and not paying attention to the board. Hey, I wanted to ask you, how's your relationship with the Rascals nowadays? How's your book coming? You freaking racking razzle frazzing anyway. So anyway,
so we got Bob 2-1, right?
I do right now. I do. I can see why that could go the other way, but I don't think.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to go. So I agree with you 2-1, but I have a feeling now this is where it turns over. Right?
All right, go ahead.
So we're going to go with
you got it factor and influence on the business.
So we'll go with it factor first. I was trying to make a decision. So it factor. I'll open up this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bob didn't have it factor.
No.
At all.
No.
Cody has a tremendous amount of in fact. This is in fact to me is a blowout. Now, as I've gotten older and we have learned to love Bob Backlund,
right,
still doesn't mean that he had it factor. And when it means it factor, when you saw Bob Backlund, you went like, "Oh my God, it's fucking Bob Backlund." You know what I mean? Cody Rhodes.
Charisma. That's for
Cody
sure.
Rhodes is like I could see wrestlers wanting to become people wanting kids going to become wrestlers because of Cody Rhodes. I can't see people wanting to become wrestlers because of Bob Backlund. So unfortunately for Bob, I'm going to have to give it to Cody by a large margin, making it 2-2. Your thoughts?
I agree with that completely. Now, I will say, though, that when Bob Backlund came out to the ring, being presented as the champion, being presented as the athlete, underline and circle that he was, there was an aura there. Usually, Backlund would erase that aura with those terrible promos.
Yeah. Or, let's be honest, dude.
Yeah.
The woes when he was in the ring. Whoa! Like people forget that. We watched a lot of Bob Backlund matches. There was a lot of like, hey, whoa! And it's like, what?
It sounds like that. It sounds like that producer when we were trying to break up the Jannetty brawl. Whoa!
Whoa, dude.
Hey!
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
All right. So overall influence on the industry. You've finished this one off, Jimmy.
All right. Well, you know what? This is where Cody does win this for me. 3-2 Cody. Cody Rhodes' influence on the industry has been pretty obvious. I mean, the whole reason why we've had about 12 or 13 years of independence mattering after WCW was crushed and bought and paid for. And yeah, we had little Ring of Honor here and there. And Spike TV tried to play an AEW imitation, bringing Hogan and Flair in or whatever the fuck they were trying to do. But Cody Rhodes, CM Punk leaving and going their own way allowed the door to open for people like, and this gets back to Ring of Honor and stuff like that, opened the door for people like Kevin Steen, who became Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. We wouldn't have had all the options that we have today. Is that necessarily a good thing? To you and me who love WWE, maybe to a point, but not too much. But to the wrestling landscape as a whole, a place for other wrestlers to go and work, to learn their craft, to be paid decently, to not have to wrestle, like we saw at a little dock in Long Island and twist your leg up and have your girlfriend yell at you, shit like that. They opened up a whole nother world that Vince McMahon was forced to respond to. And as far as I'm concerned, Bob Backlund never did any of those things. Cody Rhodes is hugely important. You talk about impact.
Right.
Cody Rhodes is totally one of the major reasons why we have today's wrestling scene, wrestling's gatehouse, wrestling's everything. Cody Rhodes, his father would be so fucking proud of him.
Now, if you would have asked me if it was head to head Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, I would say I'd give it to Cody Rhodes because overall influence on the industry.
Good
He
for you.
changed the landscape. He stripped the WWE. Like, he gave alternatives. It was
Yes, he
his
did.
vision. I
It
mean,
was.
that to me is
No
like,
AEW,
that's an overall
no
influence.
AEW without Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes created that fucking thing.
Listen, Ring of
You know?
Honor, all of it, dude.
Yeah.
He game changed it all. But here's the funny
Yep.
thing. I was
Yeah.
just thinking, as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, if I could go back time 10 years ago and 9 years ago, if someone would have told me that we were going to choose Cody Rhodes over Bob Backlund in a head-to-head,
Right.
I'd say you're fucking crazy. And
Right.
but Cody wins it, right?
But here we are. Absolutely. Here we are. Yeah, I completely agree with that. He changed everything. I mean, Mike, to be fair, I mean, just a couple of years ago, you used to ask me on the show all the time, do you think CM Punk has any value left? And what I tell you?
Yeah.
If he comes back home and he's written right, notice it's not entirely up to him. Okay? If he comes back and he's written correctly and he's shown correctly and he's booked correctly.
Dude, to be
of
honest
course.
with you, I never have a problem being wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Like, I would have never thought CM Punk would have value, but you know what? He has proven, like, and look, it's funny. When we were doing the show and he was AEW, I felt very happy. I was like, I'm right. He has no value. He had value for 2 weeks and he's useless. But now, guess what? The guy's got tons of value.
Right.
It's, I have no problem being wrong. I always wonder myself, like, but you're right quite often in the end of it all. But it's weird how it all twists around. You would have never look. Cody Rhodes won me over when he ripped his pack. Remember when he ripped his pack?
Oh my God, yeah.
That impressed the shit out of me. But I'm still going to tell you, Cody Rhodes' lifespan is not long. He's going to have to turn heel. He's already losing momentum. I also blame the company. The company, you know what the problem? The company, we talked about Breaker and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Cody's in that same position. There's not enough bad guys for him.
Well,
there's no one to play against.
It's not just that there's not enough bad guys, which I agree with. The booking has been very safe. You know that Kevin is not beating him. You know that AJ is not beating him. The guys that they've been lining up for him, sure, they're telling great matches. They're telling good stories. But when the fan knows deep down that there's really no issue here and the champion's going to walk out of there with the belt, you fall into a lull. And that's what I'm afraid of, because there's a lot of the times there's a lot of safe booking ruins things. You don't want too much of that.
Let me ask you this, though. How was Roman able to pull that off, though? Because he had the same type of matches, but we all of a sudden were like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This gets back to Roman's great, and he developed this over the years. He didn't have this right away. Roman's ability to develop such hatred from those who root against him and such compassion for those that root for him made you believe that in times of doubt, if you were a fan of his, oh shit, he's going to lose. Because there was something underlying about the bloodline that made him an even better heel. Cowardly. The bloodline took every shortcut they could always take. So you always wondered, at some point, it's got to backfire against him.
Well, I also think as his title reign grew and grew and grew, it was like everybody's like, it's got to end. It's got to end. It's got to end.
Right. Well, you know what? Maybe that's just history repeating itself, at least when Vince was there. Now, let's not forget, Vince was there for most of Roman's most successful booking as a heel. All he ever gets is tattooed because he was always pushing him as a face. Well, he did change him. Vince did change him. Vince did make the call and made him a heel and did all of that shit. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that Reigns at the end of the day perfected that role. He was the best at it. Always made you wonder if he was going to lose. Just like Superstar Graham, I am positive, because I remember I got to see a couple of his title defenses. My friend had Wometco Home Theater or some shit like that. I'm really going back, but in the 70s, before cable was born, there were these little independent cable type things trying to sell and make their way into everybody's household. And it was WHT, and they had the matches. So I got to go over there. I got to watch Superstar Graham defend his title, I think, twice. And at some point, several times during those matches, you thought he's going to lose, and that he would escape. Sound familiar?
Right. Yeah. No,
Sound
you're right.
familiar? And by the
Yep.
way, no Superstar Graham heel booking, no Ric Flair heel booking.
Right.
Because that's what Flair did for years and years and years. You fucking thought he's gonna lose. This is it. He's
Yep.
about to lose to somebody he should lose to. You know, you look at the guys Ric Flair was in the ring with. I mean, the guy couldn't wrestle worth the shit. You're gonna tell me Lex Luger didn't look believable, all jacked up? I mean, how did Flair get the fucking away with that? You'd think that because cowardly, totally hated by the people who hated him, and the fans who loved him knew that he was always nefarious. Like, oh shit, is this the match where it doesn't work out for him? So
Right.
that was the beauty of Roman Reigns' run.
I
With
think
that.
you know what, dude? As you explain it, which you're eloquently doing,
Oh,
it
well,
makes
thank
you
you.
realize that how great wrestling can be and how
It can be.
what a world it can put you in of enjoyment. It
It
kind of
can
gets you out
be.
of up front. Anyway, 2.5 hours in, we got the Jet game. Great show. I want to thank everybody for joining us on Thursday. Jimmy, you want to send us out?
You've been watching a marathon episode of Monty and the Pharaoh. And until next week, later.